All right, what's up, everybody? We got a fun live stream tonight. We've got like some really epic bottles to go through, some exciting new stuff. Got a blind to do, which I'm not, well, I'm like a third of the way ready for. I have to pour a few more of these things right here at the beginning of the stream. So we'll chit chat for a second. Everybody can come in. We can, get acclimated, all that, talk about the giveaways, all the stuff we do at the beginning of the streams. But I've got to get this blind poured because I want all of these to be sitting in the glasses the same amount of time, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell you about that blind here in just a second and what's going on with it. But as you guys come in, please hit that like button. As you saw on the thumbnail, we've got Maker Cellar Aged for this evening. We are also going to be taking another look at Russell's 15 for a number of reasons. You saw the video's title, and I'm sure some people are like, holy crap, no more laser codes. We'll talk about why I put laser codes in the title of the video. It's not exactly why you think, but it's also why you think as well. It's both of those things. So we've got some exciting new bottles, kind of like some affordable, everyday type things, like this bourbon rye combo blend from Knob Creek we're going to take a look at. So there's going to be sort of a review portion of this evening as we go through individual bottles. There will be this blind that I'm going to continue, setting up. I'm going to finish setting up right now. And then I've got a couple of rapid fire reviews that I'm going to be doing this evening. I've got 3 of them. Maybe stuff you've never heard of, stuff I've never heard of. This is Silverback Alpha Series Stout Finished Bourbon. So we're going to take a look at that. And these will just be kind of quick 2-3 minute tastings. Yes or no. What do you think? Don't even know the prices on these, just purely talking profile. I can't imagine any of them are that expensive. This is Roaming Man Tennessee Whiskey, pot stilled, 109.2 proof. It is cask strength. And then the third rapid fire we're going to do tonight is Old Dominick cask strength. And I've been, up to this point, very impressed. There's a bug in here. It's right on that glass. Hang on. Well, that was just, like that was going to do anything. I've been impressed up to this point with Old Dominick. And so the cask strength is something I've never had. MVP Podcast, as I spy a little rare character. Yes, we do have some rare character going on. Can you see that? Oh, maybe you see it back there. Yeah, so we've got this one to taste tonight. This is the Bourbon Finds pick, K21. So we'll take a look at that. You can see the other ones you saw on the thumbnail, the Pursuit United Rye. And then the stuff that's on the table as well. I'm going to talk about that blind here in just a second, but I do want to get something poured out. Again, as you come in, please hit that like button. Let me know what you're sipping on this evening. As always, Eagle Rare store pick from me. Cheers, guys. Thanks to Will Molnar for this store pick. All right, a little fiery. I do my pre-live stream tacos every week. I think Joe said something in the chat here. Let's see. Where's it at, Joe Dickinson? Still finishing those tacos. Yeah, a couple minutes late here, finishing those tacos. Hey, so let's do this. Let's get this up first. I need to change the banner. All right. So we've got a bunch of giveaway prizes tonight. You guys can check out in the description of this video. Yeah, should be there. There are 4 prizes listed. So you'll see all 4 of the different giveaway prizes this evening. As usual, every $5 super chat is an entry. We'll do the randomizer at the end of the stream. You can always send to Venmo or PayPal. That's also in the description of the video if you want to help the channel out even more. You don't get your recognition on screen, but you do avoid the 30% cut that YouTube takes right off the top before we see any of it. So, let's see. Okay. What was I going to do next? I'm totally lost. Totally lost. Yeah, let's get up the old Venmos here. Okay. I totally lost my train of thought. Anyways, so guys, new things tonight. We do have memberships now on the channel. So Nick Blevins, got a couple of Nicks, John, Tony, Travis, and Mike and Terry have all become members. Is there another one in here too? Sam. So, guys, we have started a membership here on YouTube. It's $3 a month. And the reason I decided to do it for tonight, we're calling the memberships Laser Codes. That's the name of the group. That's kind of why it's in the title of the video. We're doing it tonight because YouTube is running some special. They sent me an email. I'm sure it went out to, some long list of creators. But for every person that signs up tonight, we get a $10 bonus, actually for the next 2 weeks. But tonight is kind of like the announcement, letting you guys know. So it's $3 a month on your end. You get the custom emojis, which, someone can put some of those custom emojis in the chat. One of the members, Travis, if you don't mind dropping all 6 of them that we have so far. You can see the badge next to their names, guys. And also part of the membership, you get access to like a members-only feed on YouTube. It's cheaper than the Patreon, Some people have asked me how to support the channel for $2 or $3 a month. Well, this is the way to do it. It's $3. That's what YouTube recommended we set it at, so I just chose $2.99. Cup of coffee every month. And I'm going to produce one extra piece of content for the members-only community per month. So it's not a lot, but it is, for $3 a month, you get an extra piece of content, whether it's on the road doing a barrel pick, some behind the scenes, maybe a Q&A, maybe a little, educational type thing about tasting and nosing whiskey, whatever. We're going to do one of those a month. And then keep pumping in these custom emojis. I can add more of them as the community grows, which is kind of cool. So the more people we get, the more custom emojis we're allowed to make. The membership badge, you guys know how it goes. You're probably members of other YouTube channels, but $3 a month, it's a great way to support. And for every one of those that joins, in addition to your $3, YouTube pays us $10, which is really crazy. So it's kind of a cool little perk that they are doing right now, I guess. So thanks, guys, if you do jump in tonight. Oh man, nothing like starting a stream with some Eagle Rare. So let me tell you about what I'm pouring right now in this blind. Tonight I wanted to put Russell's 15 to the test. I just opened a new bottle of it. So this is the Altschuler 12. I just opened a new bottle of Russell's 15, and pause. Yep. Okay, just opened a new bottle of Russell's 15. And I've just been thinking, how would this stack up in a blind next to other comparable products? And so I was looking for things that were related in age and also in proof. I didn't want to throw any 130 proofers in here or anything crazy like that. So I stuck around that 117, 118 proof point. And we have some really epic, heavy-hitting bottles in here. So Heaven Hill 17 is going to be in this blind. Luxro 12. Both of those right around 118 proof. I'm actually going to throw in this Altschuler 12. I wanted to have an MGP representative, but I was looking for something around the proof point. This is a fantastic, hits above its price point, or maybe right at its price point, offering from Altschuler. They've sourced this 12-year-old MGP, 117 proof. So I'm going to throw that in there. Obviously, Russell's 15. And then we're going to do Camp Nelson F. We're going to rehash Camp Nelson F versus Russell's 15. And then also throw in a 15-year Knob Creek store pick, which is 120 proof. So it's like the closest I could get. There's really no Buffalo Trace thing that I could put in. If I had a GTS like 2019, because it's a sub 120 proof, I could have done that. That's about 15 years old, but I just didn't really have a Buffalo Trace option to throw in the mix. So this is what we're rolling with tonight. It's a 6-pour blind. And so one of the giveaway winners from this evening will end up winning a 1-ounce sample pack of all of the things in this blind, so you can do it on your own at home. I'm going to send it to you labeled ABC, and I'm going to send you an answer key. So it's something that you can do on your own time just for fun and see, how it stacks up for you. So I'm pouring these right now. These are unmarked cards. I will mix these up once we get to the blind itself. So I know what they are right now, but as we go through the stream, this is going to happen probably in about 45 minutes, which is why I'm covering the glasses. We'll then dive into it, and I'll mix them up. So we got 2 left. Sorry about this. I just had to get it, had to get it going at the beginning here. So this is Heaven Hill 17. Okay, I think we're good there. And last one that we're going to throw in this mix is going to be the the Lux Row, the Lux Row 12 year. All right. So we are poured out, and these can just hang out for a bit, and now we can finally get into tonight's stream. Okay. Wow, we've had a bunch of new members jump in. Holy crap. Thank you, guys. Daniel Nichols, appreciate it. Welcome. Casket Salesman, Andrew Kelly, Dan Harding. We got Donnie Dolovich, Paul P., and Dan Harding gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, man. Very, very cool. All right. Sorry for the slow start. It happens. From time to time, it does happen. So let's start with something cool. Let's get right into it here. You know what? Let's go right into it. Let's go right into the Maker Cellar Aged. If I start sweating my butt off on this stream, it's 83 degrees in my house right now. So it's not necessarily bourbon drinking temperatures inside of my house. But our this crappy house that we rent, just with the windows like not sealing enough, crappy insulation, the whole bit. Our AC, when it's this hot, when it's 95 outside, it's just game over. It can't keep up. So the coolest it's going to get tonight is going to be like 78, 77. So we got all sorts of fans going in the bedroom so that we can actually get some sleep. And you can already see I'll be dripping sweat by the end of the stream probably. All right, let me see. Yes, thank you, Dan Harding, again, man. That's awesome for gifting all those. Says that lineup is crazy. Yeah, it's going to be a good one, I think. Oh, so guys, we are going to be picking barrels at Backbone Bourbon Company tomorrow. So very excited about that. We've got a great team going out there. Justin, who do we have? Justin, Jeremy, Paul, Terry. Oh God, why? I can't remember. I got all these pick teams in my head. What did I say? Justin, Paul, Jeremy. Now I'm forgetting everybody. Terry. Who else is going to be there? Oh, Joe. Yeah. I had crossed Joe out of my mind because he was on the Hard Truth pick. So, anyways, we're doing that tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully picking 2 barrels-ish from Backbone. If we can find something weird as a third, like a short barrel, then I would feel comfortable picking a third, but it would have to be pretty low yield. Upcoming now, or next on the channel, tomorrow, Patreon members, we are dropping this River Roots Going Nuts bottle. This drops tomorrow, about 160 of those. And then the other 2 bottles in the giveaway, which I haven't mentioned yet, the OSO Revival from Whiskey Blendery has this crazy dusty note. It's a blend of MGP bourbons, but they use this high corn barrel to give it this really funky, almost like reminds me of Hoffman distillate. It gets that little bit of like an asphalt or tar note. It doesn't totally taste like a dusty, but it just has these remnants of it. But on the nose especially, it smacks you in the face with that kind of dusty thing. And then this barrel from the Pour Nerds, which is a root beer bomb. I wanted to share this. I got 3 of them, and this is one of those that I think someone else needs to try. I've got a backup myself. I got one open that I've been crushing. So these are just whiskeys that I've picked up along my barrel picking travels last month and wanted to share with you guys. All right, so I'm probably not going to catch anybody's chats from earlier. Cool. All right. Nick Blevins, thank you for the super chat, man. Got you in for 2. And Jay says, cheers to you, man. Got you in for 1. All right. So let's get into it's got some airtime now. The Cellar Age 2024 release from Makers. Not a big Makers fan. Most of this, 85%, is 13 years. 15% is 12 years. So definitely the oldest thing they've released. 119.3 proof. But last year, I liked the Cellar Age from last year. Wasn't perfect, and I don't think it would have held up in a blind. I just had a sample of it. I didn't have a full bottle, so I can't do the comparison. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. All right, first thing I get on the nose, it's a fruit bomb to me. It's very fresh, vibrant fruit notes. Yeah, so while it is fresh and vibrant, it's still dark. So when I say fresh, vibrant, sometimes that might make you think light fruit notes. It's not light necessarily. It's just like rich fresh dark cherries, raspberries. There is a tangy tart note to this too. It's super fruity. Kind of like a citrus thing in here, like a blood orange. Vanilla icing. Very sour. So as it sits in the glass a little bit more, as I keep digging into it, the fruit remains the whole time. That's like the constant thread through the entire thing. But it kind of moves from this sweetness, sweet vanilla icings, and then it bounces back and forth between feeling really tart and sour. So it's kind of doing this dance. It smells good. It doesn't really have that like spoiled dairy note or yogurt or, Greek yogurt, some of the things that Matt Porter says, and I've definitely stolen that from him. Some of those notes, this doesn't really have it. I think it's kind of aged out of this whiskey. Trevor says, you could pick up a portable AC just to do... Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's usually not this bad. The last couple days, for whatever reason, it's the hottest this house has ever gotten. Man, there's a little, like, fruit fly-looking thing. Just one gnat. It's really just a gnat flying around. It's driving me crazy. If you see me all of a sudden start clapping in the air, you know what's going on. Anthony says, cameo cam, great appearances on Junkies. Anyone complaining just wishes they were as handsome himself. I should have read that whole message first so I didn't say that out loud. Thanks, man. Yeah, you guys saw, like, I was on the Junkies channel twice this week. I do get always hesitant when I shoot with them because of the backlash that they get from some people, and it is what it is. We had fun. Dan was sick. It actually worked out to where we were all going to film together. We didn't really know what we were going to do. And then Dan woke up the next day after we did a barrel pickup there, and he was like, I'm sick. I can't smell anything, so you guys got to shoot this. And it's like, okay. So that's kind of why that happened the way it did, but I didn't know we were going to drop both of them this week. That's the way it worked out, and yeah, it is what it is. I had a lot of fun. And the Weller Millennium Blind that I put on this channel with the potato costumes, that video is a lot of fun. And it's cool. It did really well. Good viewership, I think, and got us a couple hundred subs, which for this channel is kind of a big deal. Wow, this just gets fruitier and fruitier. A little bit of a chocolate thing coming in at this point. Mike B, thank you for the super chat, man. In for 2, I gotcha. Gotta spell your name right, though. Okay. In for 2, glad to see Funky do so well in your BJ blind. Cheers. Cheers to you, man. Yeah, Funky, it's funny. I knew that right away. Sean took parts of that video out. So I bottle called Exodus Rye, Funky, and I bottle called their pick. But I think all of them were out except, me getting like, ooh, when Funky came up because I could tell what it was right away. But I bottle called those 3. And at the beginning of the video, this was also cut out. I just like took my nose and went down the line. And I go, toasted, Brown Foreman. And so I was making those calls too. But all that got taken out. So there were some references to it at the end of the video. But like in passing, nobody probably knew what we were even talking about. Travis, just put a swamp cooler on your manhood to keep cool. If you have a shot back, fill it with ice, put it in the blow mode. All good pieces of advice. Michael, thanks for jumping in on the memberships there, man. New Medium says they need to charge your AC. Well, I don't know. I'd have to call my landlord, and it's hard to tell how that would go. I mean, we sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not so great. So, any chance you walk away with more than one backbone pick? I'd say pretty high chance of that. Sorry, I'm 7 minutes behind catching up here, guys. All right, let's see. David Roback, thank you for the super chat, man. So, guys, let me know in the chat, too, if you've tried this Maker's Cellar 2024 as I get slowly to the palate next. Just picked up a Russell's 15 that I won for SRP. Congratulations, man. We'll crack it when I get home. Let me know what you think when you do crack it, because I'll probably be there at that point, too, depending on when you get home. Dan says, enjoy the pick tomorrow. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it, and got you in for 2. Heard the finish on the new Cellar is non-existent. We will see. We will see, Russ. Thanks for jumping in, man. Sladvan, not a fan of Cam. Where's Sarah? She just got home, actually. Ben, I do have the tater costumes here. I think they're in the trunk of my car, maybe. Johnny, so I got Mike B super chats. Catching up. I like bourbon a lot. In for one. Gotcha. Cheers, Cam. Enjoyed the videos you did with the junkies. Looked like you guys were having a blast. We did have a blast. That's all that matters to me. Is it was just a lot of fun up there hanging with those guys. Yeah, the stream, however, was freaking crazy. And I'm sorry. I sometimes on those situations I try too hard to compete with those guys because I feel like I have to, and I can get really loud and annoying. So the stream was bonkers. My mom even texted me like, "Stop cursing. Too many inappropriate jokes." And I think this is the last super chat on the stream, and then we'll get into it. I'll catch up on Patreon in a second. Casket Salesman in with 2 says, "Cheers, Cam. Any chance you have any insight into Buckner's 10 being worth it?" To me, none of them were worth it. The 10, the 8, they're all solid bottles. The 8 is supposedly Barton, and the 10 is supposedly Heaven Hill. I just don't see the value from price to what you get from that product. I just don't think it's worth it. They're good. But like that 10-year, 80, 90, $100, I think, and then price the 8-year accordingly, 60, 70, you know what I mean? Like if you look at, and these are 2 different operations, but I'm going to make the comparison anyways. If you look at EverNorth, not to beat a dead horse with the junkies all the time, but you see those guys doing $65, $70 on their bottles. Like we're putting out an experimental here on Drums and Drams in 2 weeks. Oh, jeez Louise. We're putting out an experimental 9-year on the channel in 2 weeks. It's going to be $70. The junkies just dropped 65 and 70. They also dropped a 9-year. In the gift shop, it's going to be coming soon to Bourbon Outfitter. It's like, I see that, and I know what they're paying for some of those barrels. Like we've talked about it, and I don't know what Buckner's or Augusta is paying for their barrels. But at some point, it just is what it is. If the price is better, you got to go with the value. And so, I don't know. That's my biggest complaint about Augusta. Now, here's the deal. The 13-year, everybody balked at $200 when that dropped 4 years ago. Nowadays, you can't find that stuff, and everybody's willing to pay $200 for it. And I think that's okay. Like, I still would love to see that at $160 to $180, but the way the market is, $200, fine. But I think the 17 years priced out. I think the 15-year was priced out. I think the 8 and the 10 were priced out or are priced out. So I don't know, man. I have a really hard time. I like the whiskey. It's just the price. Joe, cheers, Cam. Super chatting you 10% of the cost of the Old Forester birthday bourbon I won today. Oh, Joe. I wish you had that with you tomorrow. I wish it would just appear in your hands. I bet you wish that would happen too, though. We all wish that would happen. John says, Dan bottle chugging the Weller Millennium. Yeah. The funny part about that clip is all of our heads turn one after the other. And look at him, we're all like... Zach, I did not stream last week. Thank you for letting me know. You are absolutely right, man. I got you in for 2. Appreciate it. And sorry about that mistake again. Oh, wow. Looks like things are coming through on Venmo. I got to taste some damn whiskey, guys. All right, Maker's Cellar Aged. No, on the palate. Oh, it's delicious. The flavor is delicious. And it's gone. Now it's gone. Interesting. Well, you know what? Okay. I'd just been yapping on and on. I hadn't taken a sip in a while. So that did feel a little bit extra spicy, a little bit bigger on the palate that time. First impression, the profile this is exactly the profile of whiskey I like. It's not super classic in the way that you get like caramels and, like it's not like a Heaven Hill classic type profile, obviously, which also is down right up my alley, but this one is like, if I'm thinking of a dark fruity bourbon, this is exactly what I want profile wise. You almost can't have a better profile for what this is at the proof, at the age. The flavors are impeccable, but first sip, it's like it hit me. It was super juicy and kind of like mouth-watering and, again, tart and sour with all those dark fruit notes. And then as it started to develop, there was a little bit of a crescendo, and then it just died. It felt like it just went away. Now, it is wheated bourbon. It is Makers. But other makers at lower proofs that are younger will have a lot more spice than this. This is really mellowed on the back end. I'm telling you, the nose is awesome. Starting to smell actually a little bit medicinal now. Some of those like dark, purple red fruits. Oh God, it's so delicious, and it's already starting to fade. Yeah, man. If in this blend, a little drying, that's okay. If in this blend they could have found a way to boost that finish somehow, because it just falls off. Oh man, it could be I think this could be a fantastic, this could be a top release of the year if the finish was put together. As of now, this would be a bottle like a Michter's 10 in years past. I know 2023 Michter's 10 was epic. 24 is also way better than previous years too. It's not quite what 23 was. At least the A batches, right? But when I drank Michter's, let's say from 2020 or 2021, like a Michter's 10-year bourbon, I approached that bottle going, I love the way this tastes, and that's why I'm drinking it. I'm not drinking it for the experience, because the experience is usually flat, it falls off, it's really short-lived on the palate. That's what I have to approach the Maker's 2024 Cellar Aged, I think, for me. It's like, I'm going into this wanting something that tastes like cranberry sauce, like it reminds me of Thanksgiving cranberry sauce. That's what I want, and I don't give a shit that the finish is going to fall off immediately and that it lacks that development on the palate. So depending on what you want out of the whiskey, I think this could be a really great pickup for some people. But if you do want a whiskey that experientially, for the price, for the rarity, especially if you pay up for it, is going to be, closer to something that's more put together. I don't know. Even an Elijah Craig barrel proof, just closer to that kind of experience. This is just not going to be that for you. Molly says, Cam, first time entering the giveaway, did it through Venmo. I will check in on the Venmos and acknowledge everybody as we go into the stream. I just was yapping so much already. I'll get to those in a sec. Wanted to get into this. Paul says, Paul, see you tomorrow, man. 10 cent through Venmo, jealous of Joe's birthday bourbon win. Me too, man. I've never owned a birthday bourbon. And I don't actually think I've ever held one in my hands. Like, even now, 4 years into the channel, almost, there are still bottles that when I see them in person and I pick them up, it's like that, kind of like the Holy Grail moment where the light comes out of the sky and you're like, ha! I think birthday bourbon would probably be that. The other one for me was an Old Fitz decanter. The first time I had an Old Fitz decanter in my hand, I'm like, oh man, I feel powerful, Ben, any plans to try the grain to glass set? $110 a bottle. So Ben, I tried the wheat when I was in Dallas last month. Did not like the wheat at all. I thought it was like bad. I just didn't like the profile of the whiskey. However, so then in my mind, I kind of wrote the other two off. When I was at the Junkies last week, I actually tried the rye and the bourbon. They had both of those, and they didn't have the wheat. And I thought the rye and the bourbon were fine. I didn't think they were $110 bottles, but I didn't think that they were, bad. Or I shouldn't say bad, but I thought the wheat was kind of weird. I just wasn't into that. I would totally review them as a full set. Like, if I came into, if I had 2-ounce samples of all three of them, I would do a full set review, I think, on that. But otherwise, I'm not like chomping at the bit to try to buy all three of those bottles, because it would just be a lot of money invested, knowing that 110 of it for the wheat is being thrown away, essentially. Anthony says, just try to, oh my God, 13-year, 147 proof Buckners. Tasted like Coy Hill version of 1792 full proof. Good, but 225 good max, I think. I know some people are paying like, what, $600 to $800 for those hazmats? Yeah, Sam. Yeah, Joe, we're going to raffle your birthday bourbon. I hope that's cool. Jeb says, froth that. I am not, the frother is not coming out right now, Jeb. Here, I'm going to put you in the giveaway as Frothy Jeb. In for 4, Frothy Jeb. Oh, Jeb, you signed up. Did I miss that? Did I miss that you jumped in? Or did it not even alert me? It may not have even alerted me, man. Oh, maybe you were gifted one of them. I don't know. Casket salesman, just hold a 13th colony and close your eyes. That's a great comment. Okay, one more sip of this Makers. It really, more medicinal, more tart. I'm like salivating. It's so mouth-watering, I'm telling you. So it does have tannin. It does have grip to it, but not in an unpleasant way. Until the very finish, it does get a little dry on that. I just wish they would release a product that was 12 years in the rick house, and let's see what that's like. Because the Cellar, maybe the Cellar is having this effect where the finish really falls off on the back. And the other thing is, even at 12 and 13 years old, there's really not a trace of oak on here. Not in the traditional sense. Maybe the oak is providing, certain, or deepening certain elements of the whiskey, but I don't get an oak note on the whiskey itself. Yeah, look, I mean, what is it? Do you guys know what SRP is on the Maker's Cellar? Ooh, that's going to drive me nuts. Maker's Cellar SRP, what is this at? 150? You know what? It's like, you could do a lot worse for 150. I would only pay retail for this bottle, or MSRP. I would not pay over. I paid $400 for this, secondary. I don't like that. I don't like that I paid that much money for it. And, sometimes I'll trade away open bottles or whatever. I'm not going to trade this away. As much as I think it's an imperfect, not a whiskey of the year kind of release, I still enjoy it enough that I'm actually going to hang on to this thing, I think. Because again, like, I'll look past the finish and I'll just sip it around Thanksgiving, Christmas time. This kind of ticks the same boxes that, like, the older Midwinter Nights Drams, Act 9. I really liked Act 9. This kind of ticks the same boxes. It's got so much fruitiness to it. Sladvan, how much graininess do you notice in this? Listen, dude, Double Eagle is grainy and grassy. It's both of those things. And it was so... I mean, I felt crazy saying that off the rip because I hadn't had any of the others right before that. So that comparison wasn't even on my palate. But then we went on to the OFC and it was like, no, I'm not crazy. That is grainy and grassy. And then you go to the Weller Millennium, which the Weller Millennium is an all-time bottle. I'm so glad that's the case. Because I was hearing, sidebar, I was hearing online that the Weller Millennium, everyone's like, this is not even a special whiskey. I was hearing people talk a lot of trash about it. And in my head, I'm like, are they doing it because they're being cool? Are they doing it because it just doesn't live up to the price tag? Or is it actually not a good whiskey? It's a fantastic whiskey. So each time I went to the other one and would go back to the Double Eagle, it was even more clear. It really is grainy. And I've tasted Double Eagle before, and I've said the same thing. In a non-side-by-side, I've said that it tastes grassy and grainy. So that bottle is not it for me. OFC was cool. Weird finish because of the proof probably. So, I wouldn't, even if I found those at retail, I wouldn't buy them. Weller Millennium, can't afford it at retail, so there's no chance of that. Yeah, well, that is secondary for these. When the cellar aged hits, they're 400. So it's like, okay, I paid the 400, wanted to taste it. I am going to make a review video for it. So still going to do that as well and dive a little bit deeper into it. But Heaven Hill grain to glass bourbon versus Heaven Hill 18. Oh, I have no clue. I would have to do that side by side. Because I took one sip of the bourbon, the grain to glass bourbon. I only took one sip of it, and it was off the neck of the bottle. I didn't even have it in a glass. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's do a sample real quick. Sample from Justin P. This is the Remus Babe Ruth Reserve. All right, so this is 111 proof. Let's check this out. Let me know if you've tried this one, guys. Remus Babe Ruth. It's like a $250 bottle. Special release. 10,624 bottles. Here, I got a press release here. I'll read it out. 111 proof, 10,600 bottles. Oh, minimum suggested retail price is $150. Oh, see, I was hearing $200 or $250. Maybe that's just a markup from retailers then. It must be. Oh, well, Virginia ABC, which is usually SRP, has it at $200. All right. So let me get you some stats on this real quick. Okay. 3 different mash bills. The oldest is from 2016, so that's 8 years. So this is a blend of 6 to 8 year old high rye bourbons, 49, 44, and 36% rye. So very high rye bourbons. All right. So 6 to 8 years old. The press release says 150, but it seems that SRP is about 200 across the board, if not marked up above that. 111 proof. Okay. All right. Pink Dan, thanks for jumping in, man. Paul says, can we take a moment to acknowledge the current insanity when a company thinks 10,000 bottles is an LE? I don't know. Depends, I guess. At this point, we have so many tiers of what LE actually means. You know, like you get ECBP, which I wouldn't even call that an LE. That's just like a seasonal type thing, I guess, because you get it 3 times a year. Then you see your Four Roses LEs, I guess they call them that. Those are like 14,000 bottles usually in a release. And then you see Russell's 15, which supposedly had 50 to 90,000. Like, it had a lot of bottles of Russell's 15. Nobody really knows an exact number. It's all the speculation out there. So it is all over the place. And then you see something like a Double Eagle, which maybe has like 1,000 bottles or something. It's just all over the place. It's almost like we need to have different ways of referring to, like, 0 to 500 bottles, 500 to 5,000, and give them their own little categories. Because just saying LE anymore, it's like Yellowstone LE is not equal to Maker Cellar aged. It's just not. All right, so first impression, Remus Babe Ruth on the nose. Not it. Smells like bright lemon oil. It has that the note that drives me crazy in MGP, that yeasty, vanilla yeasty thing. Like, sourdough, like starter, it's just got that. And it's very, very prevalent here. And this has, not only does it have that lemon oil citrus thing to it, which makes sense with the high rye content, but it has this like astringent tartness to it. So I liked the sour tartness in the Maker Cellar Age because it was dark, rich, inviting, mouth-watering. This one is just like that astringent, overdone. Almost acetone on the nose. It's like fruit peels. It's bitter. I mean, this is not pleasant on the nose to me. And I love high rye MGP. It's not an issue of what the whiskeys are. I don't know. To me, on the nose, this feels like a money grab, right? I mean, it's a celebrity thing. It's a Babe Ruth bottle, whatever. Yeah. But you know what? Sorry. Even crazier, though, is the fact that they only put 6 to 8 year whiskey in here at this price point. Like, how do you get away with that? And I love MGP, but come on. This is a money move. All right, the palate has more rich honeys. Almost a little tropical pineapple kind of thing. I feel like I could get this experience from a $60 bottle, $70 bottle. You know? I mean, any Barrel King release I've had, any Barrel King release is better than this. Right? And I think you're talking 100 to 125 Barrel King. Yeah, I think that's right. 100 or 125 per bottle versus this 150 to 300, like whatever the real SRP is of this. All Barrel King is going to stomp this. But I think you could go even cheaper and stomp this, you know? And that's not a dig on Barrel King. It's just a dig against this Babe Ruth. We're going to just move on. I'll pour this back. On the finish right now, I just took a sip of that. It is broad and broadly sweet on the finish. Like, it's starting to fill out more, actually, like way after the sip. But it's too little too late. The nose of this kills it for me. It just smells young. So, we're going to be done with that one. Sorry, Justin. And Justin already knew that I wasn't a big fan of that, but I just done one little sip, and I was like, I don't think so. But after doing this and actually getting in a glass, smelling it, yeah. Oh, Amy, that's pretty funny. Amy says, ABC sent out an email about the Babe Ruth availability. That can't be good. Trevor, the problem with LE releases for me isn't the size of the release, it's the amount of LEs coming from some distilleries. Oh, yeah, like 25 LEs a year. Speaking of LEs, Wild Turkey Triumph. I knew that I was in the minority on this bottle, and I'm like, this is so not my speed. I don't know how this is a $300 bottle. And then for it to taste the way it did in the Junkies Blind just cracked me up, because I really did feel vindicated about that, because everybody was telling me that I was crazy. Like, no, dude, this is great. Yeah, it's overpriced, but it's great whiskey. It was so outdone by every single thing in that flight that we did. And admittedly, there were really good bottles in that flight. And there were really good bottles in that flight for 3 to 4 times less the cost of the Turkey Master's Keep, right? So that was an issue. I think the Cornerstone's probably better to memory on that. But, man, that's a funny LE. Joseph Yoon, hello. Can you review Discovery 12? I may have one on the way. I got to check in about that. But as soon as I get one, I will absolutely review that. Reviews coming up soon. Russell's 10. I'm going to do a formal review of this Raconteur Rye Batch 2. But we are going to taste it tonight, just as a little preview. And then I've got something on the way from Altschuler. Another Altschuler release. A new one that I'm going to be reviewing as well. It's also a rye. It's the year of the rye, man. I think I missed super chat here. Sorry, Tommy V. Grainy and gassy. I was just thinking farts, you know. Tommy V says grainy and grassy are standard flavors on these Maker Cellar aged. I don't know if that's a joke or not. I hope that's a joke, because it's not at all. But you know what is? Double Eagle Very Rare. Clay, did I miss you talking about the Going Nuts drop? No, I haven't talked about it in this video. I'll talk about it at some point on this stream, I mean. Marshall says, what's the deal with all these Turkey LE bottles? Let's do this next. Let's do another thing sent in by Justin. Or this one was actually handed by Justin. I haven't even opened it yet. Justin picked this up when we were doing the Green River pick. Got no nails right now. I can't. There we go. That smells nice. Okay. Sorry, I'm yapping. It's been a long time. I've been streaming at most every other week, so I'm out of practice. I'm blabbering on too much. Sorry for the 200 people, which is crazy. We have so many people here right now. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button if you don't mind, and check out the channel memberships. I just opened those up today. I've got a couple of fun emojis of Dan eating a cheeseburger sensually and Sean in a potato costume. The micro batches, the laser code emojis. What else? The frother we did. Barrel, short king and short barrel. That's what the barrel with the crown is in there for the people that can see that emoji. It's supposed to be short kings and short barrels. That's an idea that my buddy Chris mentioned. Actually, it's on this t-shirt. Short barrels for short kings, which is not an available t-shirt. Chris just had these made. But that's the idea for that emoji. So please hit that like button. Joe, thank you. In for 2. In for 2. Good. Speaking of Barrel King, you doing a pick with Porter would be awesome. I'd love that. I would absolutely love to do something with Matt. I don't know if Jared from Barrel King would be interested. I've never, we never worked together before. And I've stuck my foot in my mouth when it comes to Barrel King before, but I've since talked to Jared and, I think smooth things over and, so I'd love to build on that relationship as well, but absolutely to both of those things. And Porter and I have always talked about wanting to do something together. Oh, Toshi, little known fact, Four Roses LE is about 1.5 to 2 times more bottles than the numbering in the back, since they also have a 700 version, milliliter version for international markets with different number of total bottles. I didn't know that. Didn't realize that. Jeb, yeah, you don't qualify, dude. You don't qualify. You're too tall. Ron, what's up, dude? Go Bucks. Hopefully this weekend is the start of a big year. Yeah, man. Good to see you in here, dude. The Green River pick was awesome. Thank you for setting that up. We have a barrel that tastes like I wrote tasting notes the other night for it. It's blueberry pancakes with butter. Blueberry pancakes, syrup, and butter. Tastes like a barrel-proof Old Fitz. It's the craziest profile. So I cannot wait to get that pick bottled and get that out. I'm literally going to buy like 10 of them for myself. That's not a joke. So that was awesome, man. I appreciate you doing that. And I'm looking forward to Bardstown's announcement on September 6th. I'm curious what that product's going to be. Or the 2 products, actually. Keep seeing the teasers for it. Paul, Altschuler 18 at 200. You can get it at 200? If it's the 18-year, like the new French oak, new American oak 18-year, dude, I would buy 2 of them at 200. It's one of my favorite bottles of the year. It's just, $450 usually is what I've seen it at, and that's a lot of money. All right. What are we on? Oh, Pursuit Rye. Pursuit United Rye. Let's do a quick review of this. 108 proof or 54%. And this is Kentucky Rye and Maryland Rye. So probably Sagamore, and who knows where they're getting it from in Kentucky. Smells good. I'm going to start. And guys, please let me know in the chat if I miss super chats in the YouTube live chat. I have Venmo here. I'm going to set my phone up with Venmo, start getting to these, 5 or 6 at a time. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you, guys. This is insane. Wow. Wow. Feels like it's my birthday. Oh my God, thank you all. Wow, all right. No, Jesse, this is not the Pursuit Double Oak. This is just the standard rye, which I've never tasted before. I remember someone saying that it had Sagamore in it, which is why I was curious. And then Justin ended up picking one up and just handed it to me at the last pick, which was very cool. Ron, I missed it, man. I did actually tune in last night for Discovery 12. I tuned in for that, but if it was even within that part, I must have missed it. So I'm not sure what the announcement was. Or wait. So is Discovery 12 the announcement then, like half of it? Because I guess that would make sense. Maybe that feels like I already knew that, maybe because I saw the TTV filing or something is why that doesn't feel new to me. So, Pursuit United, interestingly, this rye has a lot of similar notes to the Maker's Cellar Age. It's very dark fruit, which makes sense. That's kind of like the Sagamore rye profile. Wow. Like, I feel like I get some of those cola root beer characteristics that I know from the EverNorth single barrel Sagamore ryes. Like, there's some of that in there. There's some of those kind of darker, drier fruit notes. You know, a little bit grapey, a little bit dark cherry, that kind of thing. But then there's also a sweetness to this that I think the junky stuff maybe doesn't have. And if there's Kentucky rye blended in here, depending on where it's from, maybe that's what's contributing some of these extra sweet notes. Because there is kind of a distinct honey grain, like not grain in a youthful way, but just like a honey grainy kind of sweetness, cereal grain sweetness, I guess I should say. Yeah, and like a caramel note that is a little bit more pronounced, I think, than I would have expected. That's super solid. It's a little bit easy going. 108 proof, so it's not going to rip your face off. But it never lulls on the palate for me. It punches you up front. It kind of relaxes for a second, glides along, and then a little ramp up at the finish. And the finish is pleasant, spicy, hangs on. That's total recommend. This is a great shelfer rye. This is batch 7cc. So it uses 3 different rye mash bills from Kentucky and Maryland, it says. So maybe one of those is high corn. Big fan of this. At barrel proof, that would be really, really killer. Yeah. Cool. It's like, you know, it's not quite as well defined as the Maker's Cellar Aged and rich and aged, but it's actually a better constructed whiskey as far as blending goes and experience goes of drinking it. And I guess, you know, one thing I want to say is I get a lot of comments in like DMs and comment sections and stuff where I think folks, and I try my best to be clear about this, but when I talk about whiskey, and I don't know if this is the right or wrong way, or if there is a right or wrong way to talk about whiskey, I try to talk about it from, you know, I don't want to go down this whole rabbit hole, but subjective things and objective things. You could make the argument that all of it is subjective. That's fine. But what I mean is, like, subjectively, I just have certain flavor profiles I gravitate towards. Dickel is not one of those. So if I taste a Dickel whiskey, I might just be like, absolutely, I just don't like this profile. But that doesn't mean that I would say it's a bad whiskey, because maybe it's a blend of 10 barrels and you drink it and it's like the perfect drinking experience. It crescendos, it's long finish, development, complexity. Maybe it has all those great experiential elements of the whiskey, but it just has a flavor profile that you despise. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's the way I look at it. It's like I try to talk about it on what the profile versus the actual experience of the whiskey itself. Sometimes they come together and they're both really good, and sometimes they're both really bad, you know? Calvin, I got you in for the super chat. What's your favorite percussion instrument? Probably the marimba. I just think the marimba is such a beautiful instrument, you know? Basically, a marimba is a giant xylophone, for anybody wondering. It doesn't have that sharp, high-pitched, ticky sound like a xylophone does. It's almost like a cello, but in percussion form. So it's rich, it's deep sounds, quite a bit of range, 5-octave range. You can play with 4 mallets. You can even play with 6 mallets. So 3 in each hand or 2 in each hand. I think the marimba is just such a great instrument. Tommy V, just won a Rock Hills at SRP. Keeper, or should I trade it? I would trade Rock Hills, I think. I don't know what the trade value is these days. Anybody in the chat have any ideas of what a good trade would be for the Rock Hill? Justin's just hanging out and drinking the delicious Remus Babe Ruth. You can have it, man. I'll bring you the rest. If you actually want the sample back, you can totally have that back. Oh, the other one is a Silver Oak collab. Nice. I wonder what the base blend of the Silver Oak is, what the like base whiskey is in there. Kyle, I can't play 6 mallets. Never done it. I can only play 4 mallets. 6 mallets is like a very specialty thing. And it's a little less like versatile. You know, you're very limited in your hands with 6 mallets. Some people are great, but you still don't have the independence of each mallet, which if you play 4 mallets, you have an outer and an inner on both hands. No, Calvin, the vibraphone is definitely more of like an approachable sound for pop music, jazz music, you know, anything like that, whereas the marimba is more of just that classical context. Ron says it's a Snickers bar wrapped in Cabernet dark fruit. Oh, dude. So if you say Snickers bar, then I'm thinking Heaven Hill, maybe some Beam in there. Sounds good. Let's keep going. We're moving swiftly along. Actually, not swift at all. Let's do this one next. We have a big blind to get to still. You guys, I hope you guys are in for the long haul with me tonight. This might be a 2.5-hour stream. The big blind tonight is Heaven Hill 17, Russell's 15, Altschuler 12, Lux Road 12, Knob Creek 15, Store Pick, and Camp Nelson F. So that's the main event. We're not there yet. All right, let's do the knob. Voice crack. Just hit puberty. But you guys knew that. Knob Creek Bourbon Rye Blend. I'm late to the party on this one. 113 proof. But everybody's telling me that this is better than the Knob Creek 10-year rye. I need a new glass. Cam like Snickers but not Babe Ruth. Oh, Terry. Oh, Terry. All right. Huh. All right. Travis, thanks, man. Biff Strongo says, I just picked up that knob, eager to hear what you think. All right, we'll find out here. Sladvan says, marimba is awesome. It's the French horn of percussion. That's an interesting way of putting it. And I see what you mean. Huh. I've never heard that before. Eric says, no way it's better than the 10-year rye. That's what I was thinking, but everybody's telling me that it is. Donnie is in for 2, says, I'm hooked on the cheater glasses. Now, good. More people need to be. We're going to get some Drums and Drams cheater glasses made. I've been looking around, found some suppliers, some wholesalers for them. The nose on the bourbon rye blend, well, I think what really helps it is it's 113 proof. It's not only 100 proof. It is about as classic as you can imagine. A profile, you know, it's got a little bit of that brown bag, brown sugar. I don't want to say cardboard, but like Knob Creek always has a little bit of that kind of thing. Someone a long time ago mentioned that note to me of like a brown bag, you know? And that kind of has this thing in there, which is a little cardboardy, a little bit papery. I can't not smell that on like younger Knob Creek products now. But this has a lot of like just rich, sweet, almost citrusy caramel is what I would say. Like I'm getting like lemon meringue plus caramel on the nose. It's not bright lemon oil or anything like that. Yeah, almost a bit of like a breadiness in here in a good way. I would say it's like a toasty bread. And then like super pie crusty. That's great. Oh, that's really, really good. And it came, there's a second wave. Wow, that is shockingly good. It hits very sweet and great balance from sweet to spice that carries it forward. Mid-palate hits. And I'm like, okay, we're going to start settling down. And it just takes off again. That's where it shines for me. Wow. So without another taste, of that one, we're going to go to the 10-year rye. That's a recommend. 100% recommend. Daily sipper. That's a great daily sipper. Which is what I was saying about the Knob Creek 10 rye, is like it's an elevated daily sipper experience, but I also think this is more expensive than the bourbon rye blend. All right, let me grab a couple of super chats here. Travis from Venmo in for 2. Thank you, man. Says pre-stream shenanigans. This was before the stream. Hope that you and Sarah are doing well. This is helping your drive to 36 picks by the end of the year. Thanks, man. We're not going to get 36, but we might get 18. I think we're on track for 18. So 18 picks in 9 months is not bad. Not bad at all. Will Molnar says amateur. Go to Jeb's couch. You guys don't know what that means. That's probably just for the best. It means you're not in the Discord and you don't know what's going on with that. Thank you, Will. Paul P is in for 4, says winning tonight. Thank you, Paul. That bug is still flying around in here. Greg Y is in for 2. Thank you, Greg, with a little dice emoji. All right, we got Tim C in for 2, says, thanks for sharing your stuff at Pours. Cheers. Cheers to you, man. Good to meet you at Pours. That was a lot of fun. We got Gary H in for 1. Thank you, Gary. Get a couple more here. Toshi Baker. Toshi, this next sip is for you, man, because $150 super chat is absolutely insane. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's awesome, man. This is Knob Creek 10, which is not a worthy pour for $150 super chat. Oh, but it is really good. Toshi, that's 30 freaking entries, dude. Toshi's just going to win everything. All right, John E. in for, not Johnny, but John Edie. In for 10. $50 super chat says, cheers. Thanks for the content. Thank you, man. All right, Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam in for 1 with some taco emojis. And let's do one last one right now. We'll keep catching up here in a bit. Bobby Holton in for 4. Says, cheers, dude. Pumped for the Driftless Glen picks. We're dropping Driftless Glen September 27th. The tasting notes are done. They're going to be posted in the barrel on the barrel spreadsheet for Patreon members. You guys know what I'm talking about. They're going to be posted in there in the next couple of days, probably after I get home from Backbone. One of them's coffee cake in a glass. So good. The other one, the short barrel, just tastes like pure New York cheesecake with like a berry reduction. And then the rye is grapefruit root beer float. So very fun whiskeys all the way around. All right, let's keep going here. Sladvan says, I'll only enter if Nick... Thank you, Amy. You got Sladvan. Dude, thank you. Oh, I see now, Amy. Sorry about that. Is the... Sladvan, is the Silver Oak collab actually out yet? Like, have you found it? Because I think it sounds like the Disco 12 maybe squeaked out before it should have. All right, so the bourbon rye versus the 10-year rye. The bourbon rye blend is just so rich on the nose. The only problem for me is there's a little bit of an extra ethanol youthful punch at the front of the nose. But that's the only complaint. It's so dense. The 10-year rye feels, by comparison, because it's a lower proof, a smidge anemic, I think, on the nose. It's great. Everything's there. It's just how I remember it. But in comparison, it's just going to be a tough one because there's 13 proof points of difference. And it's actually, it's less complex. The Burr Rye blend is very complex to me on the palate. Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah, I just don't drink them side by side because it's going to make the 10 feel silly because this one is so good. What I love about this is that we have affordable shelf options from a legacy distillery that are upping the game with age statements, with experience, with proof. Like these two releases elevate Knob Creek for me quite a bit. When I'm thinking about what to recommend people, I've always said Russell's 10, Cooper's Craft 100, Eagle Rare. Like, these are bottles that I like to recommend for people. And I would never really recommend a knob. Like, knob 9, 100 proof. This is now the go-to recommendation. And then this, because it's more expensive, like I probably wouldn't go to the 10-year rye first in the recommendation, because you're just going to get bang for your buck and, frankly, a better drinking experience on the bourbon rye blend. So I love them both. Buy them both, but buy the rye first. Paul says 18 picks. What's a pick? We're talking about single barrel picks. So like going out and selecting a single barrel and having, the 150 to 200 bottles out of that barrel bottled, for the channel under, with our sticker on it or our name on it or whatever. And then we sell those in the Patreon group that we have. So you can find the Patreon group in the description of the video. Oh, the Silver Oak is out in Michigan too. Oh, wow. I'd love to see the side label of that Silver Oak and know what's in it. Randall Erickson, thank you, man, for jumping in here. Shout out to our veterans. If I win, please give to a veteran of your choice. That's very cool, man. That's a very cool gesture. Thank you. Cheers to that. All right. Let's see. Got you in here for 4 entries. Rugged Gentleman. Okay, I'm going to clear some glasses here. So I don't know what is what at this point. I think that's the Pursuit Rye. I'm going to have to run the dishwasher tonight because, I got to bring my own glasses to barrel picks. Of course. We have Backbone tomorrow. My camera does not want to stay in focus tonight. Holy crap. All right, let's get a little bit of water in the system. Trying to play it cool. We're going to go through so many barrels tomorrow that, I'm trying not to go too crazy tonight. We're going to be drilling for hours. And I still keep forgetting to send an email to the pick group about what we're going to do. We're going to Uber over there. I think we're starting at 2. So we'll probably Uber at 1:30 or something from the hotel. I think Justin and Jeremy are already hanging out tonight over at Justin's house. Oh, just cracked the Augusta 17. Let me know what you think of it, man. I thought it was really good, but for, whatever it was, 400 SRP, 600 secondary, I just thought it was not quite at that level. It felt like it needed more sweetness and roundness. KC9 barrel proof is not a recommend. Oh, no, I'm not saying it's not a recommend, but I think those are like $60, $70. And I'm really, like when I was talking earlier, I was really thinking about like $40 bottles. Although I guess I don't know what the bourbon rye blend is. Bourbon rye, Knob Creek blend price. Let's just see real quick what this is. Yeah, so $50 on seal box. $45 in a brick and mortar. So it looks like $45 is the price. So I think, yeah. Knob Creek 120 proof 9-year price. How much? Oh, those are 60, aren't they? Yeah. I think they're 60. So to me, like just value-wise, if it's a Knob Creek 9-year barrel proof, it's got to be a pick. I'm not going to buy a store shelfer. I'm going to find somebody that I know does good picks, and that's hard to recommend to somebody blanket statement-wise. $45 here, says Russ. Okay, well that's much cheaper than I would have thought. Oh, the side of the Silver Oak does not say what's in it, says Sladvan. Does it give you at least a state of distillation, though, on the label? Clay, Cam, you still thinking we'll continue to see a lot of... Dude, we have 207 people in here. This is crazy. I'm kind of blown away. Thank you for being here, guys, really. You still thinking we'll continue to see a lot of double-digit aged MGP rolling out this fall? Yeah, I think so. I think right now, like... We are, I don't know if it's going to, I don't know when or if it's going to slow down. Yeah, I'm not sure. But, I mean, so many barrels were dumped onto the market this year of 10, 11-year bourbon, MGP. And this, like, this 7, 11, 12-year MGP rye, you're kind of seeing a different, range of ages of that and many different proof points. You're seeing all of these dump onto the market, and there's, at least as of now, there's no sign of that slowing down. Everybody that wants some and any NDP that wants that stuff is getting it right now because the barrel market, it seems like people are trying to sell things off. It's interesting stuff going on out there. I mean, think back to 2020, 2021, when it felt like we would never see high-aged MGP again, which is so hilarious looking back on it. Now we're drowning in the stuff, and people are overlooking it. Like, the best rye whiskeys that are coming out this year are 11 and 12-year MGP ryes between I don't know, they range from like 110 to 135 or whatever. Those are the best ryes coming out this year. I know you get limited releases from Michter's and all these other places, and that's great, but these single barrels of MGP ryes that people are picking, and I'm not just saying that because we've picked a few of them. So many people are picking them. I can't believe how overlooked they are. So don't overlook those. Kyle, what's your favorite Glendronach in the background? Yeah, so my favorite back there, I know I have a single cask. It's a 19-year Oloroso single cask. It's great. It's like 55%. Amazing. Tastes like coffee. It's so dark. But I think, it's a little overdone, to be honest. My favorite is the 18 back there because that 18's bottled in 2019, so it's actually like maybe a 21 year or something. I can't remember what age that would make it. Let me think. I can't remember when it was all shut down. But the 18 was bottled, I think it was 2019, or it could have been 2017. It's not the oldest possible 18 though, and it's amazing. And then the 21 I have back there is like maybe a 24-year version of the 21, and it's really good, but I think the 18 for me is better. The Oloroso aging in the 18, I like more than the combination of PX and Oloroso in the 21. Eric, no, that is not a buy at 280. The Murray Hill Club special would only be a buy at SRP for me. Victor says Silver Oak Mash Bill. Oh, it has Dickel in it. Okay, it has Dickel. It has 78-12-9. That's either Heaven Hill or a rounded version of that mystery mash, Jim Beam. Oh, and then the next one is Heaven Hill. So it's like Beam, Heaven Hill, and Dickel, it looks like. Paul says, enjoy doing the junkies. Thank you, man. Those are a little bit crazy. Casket Salesman, I got my fingers crossed there'll be an influx of 15-year MGP rye. We got 2 more to do here. And we'll do the rapid fires maybe at the end of the stream. At some point down the line. I think, who knows, maybe. I know the barrels that I'm going to go through on next Tuesday up at River Roots, the 20 rye barrels that they got. Stay tuned. Hopefully we get, hopefully we pick one of those. The barrels, sorry, I totally blanked out. The 12-year rye barrels they just got are turning 13 in early 2025. So they're very old. Ooh, that smells nice. All right. So this is not a comparison. I'm just pouring these at the same time. We're going to start with the Raconteur. What we have here, this is a rare character K21. So 21% rye in the mash bill, 70 corn, 21 rye, 9 barley. That means it's Green River. This is 6 years, 8 months at 121 proof. It's the Bourbon Finds pick. And this week, I put a rare character in the thumbnail, and I put I actually was able to find a picture of the Bourbon Finds to put in the thumbnail. So No drama this time with the rare character in the thumbnail. If you don't know what I'm talking about, good. That's good. But K21, I have to imagine it's Green River sourced. I heard something about Green River with beam yeast. I have no clue if that's true or not. I don't know anything about the yeast that Green River does or doesn't use. So I'm not sure. But at the very least, the mash bill does line up. The age lines up. The proof lines up. And then we got Raconteur Rye, which we're going to do first here, which is at 61.36%, which is 122.72 proof. It's 7 years old. This is batch 2, called Brazen. They've given this one a name. And this was provided for free, courtesy of Rarebird 101. So thank you. I do want to acknowledge that. I don't think anything else. Yeah, I don't think I've missed anything on the table that's been given. So take what I say with a grain of salt, of course, because it was provided for free. I know people can be suspicious of that stuff, and understandably so. Rugged Gentleman, thank you for the super chat. Let me see. Amy gotcha. Thank you, Amy. First time here. Keep hearing your barrel picks are killer, so here's a couple chances to win one. Hope it's the Funky Monkey. We're not doing the Funky Monkey in today's giveaway, but we are doing the Going Nuts, which is the new pick. And it's definitely the most off-profile pick we've done so far, but we've got some other things in the giveaway too. Lots of good choices. So either way, more to come. And it's cool that you heard that the barrel picks are good. That's cool. I don't know if it was the Junkies video or not, but it's good to hear feedback about that. Travis, I'm good, man. I'm good. Small sips. All right. So Raconteur, the first batch, what I loved about it was how creamy it was on the nose. The Mizunara cask is what I attributed that to. There was just this light, fluffy, sweet creaminess that was on the nose and on the palate. It was a little bit understated, the first batch, even around 120 proof. So this is the second batch. It maintains that same Mizunara feel on the nose. The same kind of, I'm going to use the word delectable. I think it's actually a good adjective for it. It's got this like delectable, desserty creaminess, but this batch is spicier to me on the nose. Like this comes off more like a 95.5 rye in some ways. So I think when I look back to batch 1 Raconteur, I think the complaint that people could have had was that it's a little too understated. Totally fair, It's one that I feel like maybe in a blind batch 1 wouldn't have done so well, and that's purely speculative. Batch 2 in the Junkies blind that we did on the video that they put out today, this is the one that we made a mistake on with the score tallying, and it actually should have been in third place, which was great. It did really well up against an 11-year MGP rye pick and the Sagamore rye that the Junkies did, which was a freak rye. Like this is in the conversation with those other insane ryes, And if it was actually in the top 3 and put to the test up against those, who knows? It could have been first place. It could have been second place. We can only speculate at this point, but this is spicier. This has sweet citrus, sweet orange notes, like creamy dessert orange notes. But this actually has more of like I called this note on something a bit ago, like a toasted bread note. I think it was the Knob Creek Burai blend, maybe. This has kind of a toasted bread note to it as well. Like a toasted rye bread. That's like gripping right away. That's different than batch 1. Oh, yeah. It's way pepperier than batch 1 too. Distinctly peppery. Oh yeah. I mean, it's very good. So I am going to do a full review video of this. This is just a first impression. The review video is going to cover this in great detail, and I'm also going to do a comparison to batch 1 side by side. Maybe I'll even do it blind. Who knows? That could be interesting. I like this. I really like batch 2. to me, it's like, I wonder what a blend of 1 and 2 would do. Could you get really the subtleties and the nuance of 1 while still maintaining this more aggressive, brash spice of batch 2? Could you get it in a blend? I don't know. But I really enjoy this. Yeah. So when we did the Junkies blind with this, at first I thought this was their River Roots pick. So I mistook this for an 11.5 year, 121 proof, which this is basically 121 proof, 11 year MGP rye. That's what I mistook this for in that blind. And then I changed that, and I figured out theirs was Glass 3, which left me wondering what this was. So when this came out, I was like, holy crap. So there you go. I would recommend this 100%. And this is going to be an easier sell for everybody, I think. Whereas batch 1 is like, you need to be somebody that really wants to like sit with something and have nuance and think about it. Batch 2 is like, oh no, this is just going to be an intense, awesome whiskey, still having qualities of batch 1, but in a more rugged way. All right. Have you heard about the Rare Character limited release blends? Yeah, I saw a picture of those blends, I think today, actually, on Instagram. I don't know anything about it, though. What was the Rare Character that you and the Junkies tasted first in the video? Oh, man, so that was one of these. It was one of these pink tops. It was a different pick. These are TKOs, is the barrel code that it has on the label. Excuse me, it's an experimental rye mash bill distilled by George Dickel, weirdly enough. But it doesn't taste anything like a 9-year, 15-year Dickel product. It has zero relationship to what you typically think of when you hear George Dickel. It has nothing like that in the profile. It's like what do I say? Strawberries and cream, cotton candy, cream, like red cream savers, if you remember those little candy things or whatever from 20 years ago. They're all pretty high proof. This is 131.8. They're about 8.5 years old. So the one that we tasted in that video was a hazmat picked by Ryan Alves, who runs Bourbon Outfitter, which is where we run all of our picks through. So Ryan picked a crazy short barrel hazmat, one of these, some time ago. And there was only, I don't know, I heard like 40, 50 bottles or something in the barrel. And that's what that was. And if it would have been later in the blind, it would have been probably in the top 3 or 4, It could have even won. I mean, it was so good. But you got to remember, the last thing we had drank before we started that 8-pour blind video, the last thing we had was Weller Millennium. So coming off that was, a different kind of challenge, I think. Michael says, feel your rhythm right now. That is your rhythm. I think when you roll with the Bourbon Junkies, you get on their level, which doesn't do you any favors. I think you stay in your frame. Trust your thing. Yeah. So that's the thing is like with the Junkies, and like I'm a goofball of a person in real life. Like I have a thing I do on this stream, that a pace that I go, the way that I talk, which is not different than how I talk in real life, but it is different in the sense that you're monologuing to a camera. So you get used to doing this. And then when you're with the Junkies, like, those guys are fast. They're so quick. And they're talking over each other. And then you put a third person in the mix. And then it becomes a competition for... And I could just lay back. And I've had videos where I've laid back more. And I've had videos where I've tried to talk too much. Because I'm trying to find the rhythm in the video. But, like, no one typically thinks about that on the consumer end. They just are like, well, this guy's annoying. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Like sometimes I'll watch him back and I'm like, Jesus, I can't even listen to myself in this video. Yeah, that happens for sure. Paul P, have you had enough exposure to know if there is much difference between wave stave and spiral cut? Almost. So yeah, maybe. If you put them side by side, I could probably pick them out. If it was just like a random blind and you didn't even tell me they were in there, I might say, oh, this feels like a little wave stave-ish, and then it could end up being spiral cut. Because there's similarities with how the oak is extracted, just in the sense that there's more oak. That's the similarity. And it's so more oak then means darker flavors. The wave stave adds a certain kind of like rubbery smoky thing depending on how long it sits in the wave stave. And depending if it's a used barrel. Like the Junkies pick we did that's coming out in 2 weeks, it's a used barrel. So it's a totally different thing because the oak has already been, used. It's already extracted to some degree. So it was a slower maturation. I prefer that, actually. And then the spiral cuts, to me, add more of a... Like, the spiral cuts are less smoky and rubbery. They're sweeter. They're still dark. They're still root beer, caramel apple. So it just depends. Justin says, not a Cam fan. Who is? Oh, man. Morgan, secondary discussions get weird, but what would you pay for TKO knowing there aren't more out? If there are truly no more out there, which I don't believe that's the case. I mean, there's 5-year that Blue Note has, and I don't know how much more's, on the barrel market. 150, Like, thankfully, TKO hasn't gotten crazily gouged yet. I think it could get to that point. But 150 is, like, if you've never had a TKO, or maybe you had a sip of one, you don't know what pick it was, you see a TKO up online for 150, you know that you want one, 150. I think SRP is probably 100 or maybe 120. So 150 is not crazy upcharge. I would do that. But, okay, and I forgot about this. Rarebird did say there's more TKO coming. So I don't know. I don't know what's true. Sagamore Double Oaked is from a wave stave, yes. And that's why I get the rubbery thing on that. Kyle says, Cam, my wife, who also works from home, tells me I have 4 to 5 different work voices, depending on what I'm doing. Yeah, and it just depends. Like, I'm not a person that online acts different than I do in real life. Like, some people have a persona and a character that they play. That is, I cannot do that. Which with the Junkies, like when we're hanging out and doing the videos, I get a little bit that way. Like, I feel like I'm pushing and I'm trying to put something on, and that's why it doesn't sometimes come off well. That's not to say that I'm not loud and crazy in person, because I am. I can get that way for sure. But yeah, in the videos, I'm always trying to find my footing. So I'm always, it's a constant, battle in my own mind when I'm doing that, which sounds a little bit silly and dramatic, but I think you know what I mean. Yeah, Whiskey Caviar hiked the price of their TKO to $250. Don't buy it at $250. That's a price gouge. They can sit on it. Let them sit on it. There you go. Rearbird's in the house. Just picked a TKO. Buy that one. Don't buy the Whiskey Caviar at $250. Let them come back down on that price. Okay. Last thing before we get to this monstrous blind that took me freaking 90 minutes to get to. So sorry, guys. But I think so far it's been a pretty revealing night. Maker Cellar Aged will probably get a lot of hate for the finish. I don't hate it. It's just not a complete whiskey, but the profile's great. It's like to me, it's a good trial run. It's a good data point, and it's like, okay, guys, all right, Maker's Mark, like, let's build on this next year. Let's find something that's going to have a better finish. So I'm lukewarm about that product for that reason, and no higher than SRP. Pursuit United Rye, pleasant surprise. That's a great bottle. The Knob Creek Bourbon Rye Blend, perhaps the sleeper bottle of the night. Amazing, incredible value. Raconteur Rye Batch 2. First impression, not a detailed review by any means. Love it, recommend it. $130 on Bourbon Outfitter. It's going to drop sometime this month. Use code CAM, get 5% off. But really, like, I'm going to do that video probably by the end of next week. Yeah, that sounds realistic. By the end of next week, we'll do a blind of batch 1 and 2 in that video and just see what that comparison's like. And I think that's all we've... And then the Babe Ruth, absolute pass on the Babe Ruth. So that's the review, the recap tonight. Tim, what was the price on Funky Monkey? $115, which is like... It's like stealing whiskey at that point. All of the... So, River Roots is the biggest sleeper NDP for me right now. I'm telling you guys, the barrels they're getting in there, not just these ryes, but they've got some crazy 10-year Kentucky bourbons right now that are... Some of them are double oaked, and we might be picking one of those. It might be finished in a wild turkey barrel. We'll see. I'm going to go up there and figure that out next Tuesday and go through their 20 barrels of rye that they got. I'm so excited for it. They've also got low proof, cask strength, 10-year Kentucky bourbons from the same distillery. I can't tell you exactly where that's from, but I can say that it's from Bardstown and it's not Barton. That's all I can say. And they've got these crazy malts they've been putting out that are totally not for me, but a lot of people have been loving them. The port finish that they did was great. They're out of that at this point. 10-year MGP bourbons that they had, great. I mean, River Roots and with their value that they're doing, like in the state of Ohio, they're selling 11-year MGP rye picks in the state of Ohio for $90. It gets marked up when you go through Bourbon Outfitter because you have freight shipping and all that. In the state of Ohio, it's $90 for an 11-year single-barrel cask strength rye. I mean, that's insane. All right, so K21 Bourbon Finds, 121 proof, 6-year, 8-month. Smells very good. This is just like... trying to think of what the dessert is. It's like a Boston cream donut is what this smells like. Yeah. Oh, man. Smells very good. It's a brighter sweetness on here, I would say. It's intense. It crawls up your nose. But it's the more I smell it, the denser it feels on the nose. It is spicy, though. It is much spicier than the nose suggests. Almost unpleasantly so, actually. That's my only complaint so far. Second sip, I'll be used to it. Maybe it'll be a little bit better. Michael McGee says, keep doing your thing. Different is strong. Thank you, man. Thanks for the super chat. Wow. Finish on this is great. All the K barrels from Rare Character have been a miss for me. Reminds me of the KBT barrels. The KBT that I tried, I did not like. That was very young. This is actually really good. And it has, you know, it is Green River. I have to imagine. It has a note that reminds me of our Green River pick. I said this is Boston cream donut. Ours has like a little bit of a buttery thing to it as well. I said blueberry pancakes with butter for our pick. So I can see a similarity if in fact this is Green River. It's just the palate of this. It drinks kind of young and hot, I think. A little chocolatey on the palate too, but it just really tastes like a liquid Boston cream donut. So I think the profile is cool. Would be interested to see what this whiskey would do in the barrel for another 3 to 4 years. How would it end up? Would those sharp edges round out, get even sweeter? Then it would be a showstopper. But I'm not mad that I picked this up. I think it was maybe $120. You know, 80 would be nice for this profile with those deficiencies on the palate. For me, it's like an $80 bottle in my mind. But I've had plenty of Rare Character that drinks over its price point, and I've had plenty that drinks under its price point. So it really is kind of a hit or miss situation for me. We are on the wait list to do a pick with these guys, but I don't know how long that wait list is. So we'll see. Could be a year, could be 5 years. I don't know. Could be 3 months. Who knows? Let's do a few more Venmo super chats, and now it is time for an epic blind. I just feel, I say this stuff like every month, every other month. I feel so lucky, guys, to be able to do this. Just a quick thank you to all of you watching. We have 215 people, which is so crazy. It could be a record on stream. I don't know. We have almost 300 paid members in the Patreon. Grabbing barrel picks now. We're dropping about once a month, usually 2 barrels at a time. We're dropping a barrel tomorrow. We've got YouTube memberships that just started today. So many people jumped in at the beginning of the stream. We're closing in on 10,000 subscribers. This channel now is more of a full-time job for me than my actual full-time job in the orchestra that I play in for 31 weeks out of the year. It's just pretty remarkable. And so I just want to say thank you. Again, I'll keep saying it, every once in a while, I just start thinking about this. Sometimes you see these numbers, like, of just people that come in and, like, super chats, like all these different things that happen. And it's really remarkable, and it's changed my life, and it's changed our lives, Sarah and I. So thank you guys. And it's cool because now that we're doing barrel picks, not only do I get to drink great whiskey and talk about whiskey online, but I get to go out and like meet people, meet members in the Patreon, in the micro batches tier, and the whiskey drummers tier, sometimes even in the lower tiers. Like, I get to meet people, we get to hang out, we do the barrel pick, we go to dinner together, then we go back and we do a bottle share at the hotel. It's just like really cool. I mean, it's like, this is work? I can't even believe this is work. No waterworks, Daniel. No waterworks. But I mean, I feel very honored, man. Very blessed. All right. Celebrate 10K with an inappropriate tattoo and do it live. I've never gotten a tattoo. I'd probably cry like a baby. Knowing how emotional I can get. Tattoo, game over. Total weenie. All right, guys, I'm going to grab a few Venmo super chats. Michael Schneider in for 3 says, great cojones. Hang on. I got to scroll back down. Oh, wow. It's a long scroll. There we go. Great cojones crushing, a.k.a. ball busting, with the junkies on their channel this week. Thanks, man. Jerry Arnold, I got you in for 1. And, guys, we will check in at the end of the stream, make sure I don't miss any super chats. Jerry's in for 1. Thank you, sir. We've got Randy. This is Scott, not Randy. Excuse me. Scott is in for 10. Thank you, Scott, with the little party emoji. Jason Zell in for freaking 20 entries. You guys are insane. Thank you so much. I'll say cheers with an infinity glass. Let's see what this tastes like. It's not good. Oh, there's a good note. And then it's so funny how whiskey can fall apart if you blend it at home. It can take all the good parts of all the whiskeys and eliminate them and only keep the bad parts. Ma Lee is in for 10. $50 super chat says first time giveaway entry. Let's go. Good luck to all of you. We have 4 prizes. They're in the description of the video. So you can see what they are. So, and one of them is going to be the blind that we're about to do. So Russ in for 4. Thank you, Russ. We're going to get a couple more of these and then move on. Marshall, I got you in for how many, Marshall? 3. Says cheers. Hashtag sweaty balls. Terry, it is hot in here. You can see, like, I am sweating right now. It is very hot in my house. Terry Powers in for 1 entry says cat treats. I can't say that word too loud or Lucy is going to come running and beg. Joel is in for 1. Cheers, Cam. Thank you. Paul in for 2 says live stream. And finally, let's end here and then we'll pick it back up in a second. Daniel Nichols in for 5. Says cheers. All right. Let me grab one more here because it's a good reminder. Terry, I have the Larceny Barrel Proof for you on this table right next to me. I will not forget it. And Justin Potts, if you're still watching, wouldn't blame me if you're not. Please let me know if there's anything that we talked about that I need to bring tomorrow. I can't remember. I'm actually going to bring some Crittendens for you guys to try on the pick, because I want to get your honest feedback on Crittendens. But we're talking to Crittendens right now and trying to work something out. I think their stuff is really good, so I'm hoping we can make that pick happen. All right, Nick Blevins says, here's to Babe Ruth. Sean Holgrave, sup, dudes? Looks like this orgy is off to a slow start. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say to that. Rare character trying to keep up with demand. I think there's a bit of a lull with barrel profile, but hopefully there's a good run of barrels to come. Right now, the runs haven't been that great. Yeah, I don't know much about it, honestly. Like, I know the 3 or 4 profiles I've tried, and I've tried 1 to 2 of each at most. I like most of it, but then, you know, the KBT was a miss, and this one is like kind of halfway, this K21, so. All right. And Matt Duroff says, from another musician and high school music teacher. Matt, that's once upon a time, man. I was going to be a high school band director. Once upon a time. I'm going to sneeze. Jeez. Try not to sneeze. It's a long one. Sorry. Come on. Just get it over with. Matt, you're making me sneeze, dude. Anyways, God, I'm going to freaking... My eyes are going to water now. So, Matt, what do you teach? Do you teach band or orchestra or vocal music? What do you teach? Todd, did you get my Venmo? Todd, I did. I haven't gotten it logged yet, though. It's up next. I promise I'll get to it. Parker says this live stream is whack. Yeah, that's a polite way of saying it. High school band. Dude, I'm still going to sneeze. My left eye, I'm going to start shedding tears out of my left eye. Yeah, man, once upon a time, I was going to be a band director. My wife, Sarah, was a middle school band director. She left the profession 4 years ago. But what I miss is teaching drumline. I love teaching drumline. That was always just a highlight for me. Okay. Let's go on a journey together. We're going to journey into the world. I'm going to show you guys what I'm drinking while I'm drinking it, by the way. The cards are unmarked on my end. So, like, I don't have an A, B, or a C because then I would know what they are. Because I wrote these cards for myself because Sarah was not home tonight to write them for me. But I'm mixing them up now from what I poured earlier. I promise I don't know what's what. I don't even remember what I poured in what order earlier. This is the slowest mix-up ever, but I have to keep the cards with the I have to keep the cards with the glasses. This is probably good enough at this point. Let's do one more. Let's switch these. Okay. I think we're probably good. And then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sticker the glasses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to sticker them so that I can see them. Just in order for me to keep track of the glasses as I start moving them around. And it'll be from your left to right to start. So that's 1 that I just stickered. 2, etc., etc. Again, what's in this blind right now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to put Russell's 15 to the test up against other similarly aged and similarly proofed, try to say that 3 times fast, similarly proofed products, just to see how it stacks up. Heaven Hill 17, Knob Creek 120 proof 15-year store pick, Luxor 12, Altschuler 12-year, and Camp Nelson F. Turkey. So I'm just going to put these in an order. I'm not trying to guess what they are, and then we're going to see what the order is at the end. I'll show you the cards along the way, what each one of these is. Please no spoilers in the chat. So if I show you Heaven Hill 17, don't say that's Heaven Hill 17. A mod will kick you out of here or time you out or whatever. But also don't start talking about Heaven Hill or Elijah Craig. Like, just let it be. Keep doing whatever is going on in the chat. Keep interacting with me, but please no spoilers. Whether it's affirmative that it's this thing or it's an opposite, whatever. Just no spoilers. And I think that is it. I want to say they're all poured at the same level. So there's, I wasn't paying attention to levels and pouring one lower or higher earlier or anything like that. Oh, Matt, you're a Regiment alum? No way, dude. I'm a Blue Devils alum. Matt, I don't know how long you've watched the channel or not, so I don't know if you knew that or whatever, but dude, I marched Bluecoats, had to go home after move-ins, unfortunately, but then I marched Devils in 2014. Sidebar, just tried a 19 William LaRue. What's your favorite year? Okay, I do have a favorite year, but it's not because I've tried, I haven't consecutively tried like the last 10. 2016 is far and away the best. That, even in comparison to, and Toshi sent me these samples, 2007, I think, was in there. I think the other one was 13. I think it was 7, 13, and 16. And 16 is ridiculous. And the secondary prices of that particular year reflect that. Regiment 93, man. Yeah, so I played on the quad line, Matt. I played quads in Devils in 2014. Yeah. All right, let's get into this blind. Along the way, I will catch more of these Venmo Super Chats. Justin, the pick tomorrow is at 2. I'll bring the Going Nuts pick tomorrow. I'll bring it tomorrow. I'm putting all the bottles I'm bringing tomorrow on the table just so I don't forget. Greg says, are we sharing our drum corps resumes now? Just jumped on. Yeah, man. I mean, we were just talking about it with Matt and Clay in the chat here. Oh, wow. Matt marched with Chris Martin. Jeez, dude. That's quite the name. All right, glass 1. Let me show you what's in glass 1. All right, so I'm going to turn my head. The only thing I have marked on this side of the card is an arrow pointing up on all of these. So there you go. This is what's in glass 1. Oh, that smells... Right away, this smells ridiculous. This is like... I mean, a lot of these are going to have a little bit of a dustiness to them. Let me know if you guys need to see that again. Put it down for now. Smells very good. This is like just stewed, concentrated, the darkest concentrated stewed fruits you can think of. It's a little bit of this perfumed antique oak. When I say perfumed, I just mean the way that it wafts out of the glass. Jeez. What a way to start. Oh my gosh. I need to calm down though, because I'm probably gonna have that reaction to like 4 of these. It is so much vanilla on the palate with all of those fruit notes. It's just like a heap of vanilla bean ice cream. And it's okay. We're gonna move on. I have goosebumps. Glass 1, whatever glass 1 is, that's a showstopper whiskey. Let's go to glass 2. Wow, that is so good. It's just hanging on. All right. Cool. Glass 2. Here we go. This is what's in glass 2. And let me know if this falls out of focus. I can always, shift this around or something. Glass 2, a little bit of a lighter profile. I get more citrus, more candied citrus notes. Kind of a funk on here. Like, glass 2 could have... I'm not trying to guess what this is, but it has a little bit of a thing that reminds me of like a turkey funk. Oh, that is... There's an interesting similarity from 2 to 1. Yeah, there's almost a link, and it could just be because they're both old whiskeys. But Glass 2... Man, Glass 2 is leather on the finish. It's just a leather bomb. Ooh. Very nice. It's not as impactful as Glass 1, so for me, still Glass 1 would be in first place out of those two. So let's move on now to Glass 3. Let me show you guys what's in Glass 3. Oh my god, Glass 3 smells insane. I feel like... Okay, hang on. I gotta feel where the mic is. Okay. Let me know if you need to see this again. Wow. Oh my gosh, Glass 3. I know I'm going to have this reaction to several of these. Wow. Remarkable. The only complaint, this reminds me of Glass 1 in the sense that it's super dark, stewed, syrupy fruit notes. It also has kind of that antique leather thing. But this one feels a little bit tighter on the nose to me. Like, it's not quite jumping out of the glass as much. It feels constricted, like it's had air time. It feels like it would need air. Like, I'm going to put that in air quotes. It feels like it needs air, even though it's gotten air. Or needs water or something. This is a little bit more one-dimensional. It would be an interesting shootout, which we're probably going to have between Glass 1 and 3. But more one-dimensional than Glass 1. Glass 1 is complexity out the wazoo. Just incredible. So I guess what I'm going to do... I'm going to put 2 against 3 quickly, just to determine what these 3 places are. Glass 2, now that I come back to it, decently nutty. Glass 2 is great. It's got a really nice spice to it, I would say. Glass 2. Glass 3. Oh, Glass 3 is, like, profile-wise, completely what I want from a whiskey. Oh, man. All right. So far, it goes Glass 1, Glass 3, Glass 2. Let's get into the back 3 now and see how these stack up, and if I can flex them into an order to kind of get an overall sense of where we are here. All right, let's grab a few more super chats. So, let's see where we left off. I think we had Terry we had Marshall and then Terry. And then we had Joel and Paul and Daniel. And then we had Terry again, and now we're on to Jeremy. Okay. So Jeremy got you in for 6, man. Thank you. Says gas or food for tomorrow. Jeremy, you didn't have to do that, man. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Although if you win, I can just literally drop them off to you. In which case, I'll have to pour some samples early in the morning before I leave the house. Samples are the most annoying part, I think, of hand-delivering whiskey, let's say. The boxes, the bottles, none of that's a big deal. The samples just suck sometimes. I think I did like 45 samples earlier today, pouring them out, and I'm like, by the time I get to the end of that, of labeling and, because I clean every sample bottle individually in the sink, it's like I'm going nuts. Speaking of which, our pick, Going Nuts, drops tomorrow on the Patreon Drums and Drams. Anyways, Todd is next. Todd Brody got you in for 1, says good luck. Thank you, Todd. And good luck to you in the giveaway. All right, Guy is in for 10. Thank you, man. Says out for the evening. I'll have to catch the replay. Cheers. Cheers to you, Guy. And Guy, I didn't want to I want to give that bottle that you sent me today its due on a live stream that's actually focused on Scotch. I didn't want it to feel like a throwaway thing at the beginning of this stream. It's like, hey, let's start with this 40% ABV Scotch, which Guy sent. It's a super nice gift, and then move on. Like, I want to actually sit and spend time with it. So that's going to appear 100,000,000% on a Scotch Sunday video. So I wanted to just let you know I'm going to give that bottle its due. Greg Miller says, Paradiddle Diddle is my favorite standard rudiment. It's the best, dude. You can just rip them all day. Nick says, gotta head out. One more for the road. Thank you, Nick. Cheers, everyone. Keep up the great work, Cam. I appreciate you, Nick. I don't know, Michael. I don't know if turkey's getting more nutty. I think it's always hit or miss for me. Slad Van, I love it, bro. You're... Sean, it's a national thing. It's like there are different groups across the nation, and we all know about each other. And so it's like, just imagine playing for like a university sports program. And so if you played at Duke, you obviously know UNC, you know Ohio State. You know what I mean? Like, you know the different programs across the country. It's the same way with what we're talking about. Is if I say Blue Knights, if I say Phantom Regiment, Santa Clara Vanguard, Blue Coats, you know, Blue Devils. There's a lot of blue. There's a lot of blue drum corps out there. Crossmen, you know. If I say any of those things, we all know what we're talking about, basically. That's my best comparison. All right. Oh, Compass Box Artist Blend, says Rugged Gentleman. I think I have. Yeah. Right there. That will be, that's sitting on the floor, ready to be reviewed on an upcoming Scotch Sunday whenever I get back to that. All right, glass 4. Let's get back into this mess. I'm stalling. I'm stalling for my liver. Although I feel great. Small sips on live streams, it's the way to go. So here we go. Glass 4. Glass 4, very, very tame on the nose compared to all these others. There's a sugary sweetness in particular. Not a vanilla, not a dark fruit, just distinctly sugary, if that makes sense. Starting to pick up on some sort of sour fruit note in here. Getting two disparate things. One is pineapple and one is like plum. So those are kind of on different ends of the spectrum. Huh. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is, though. That is unlike any of these others. Wow. Glass 1 was like vanilla bean ice. The glass 1, which is in first place currently, which was the crazy one, had this vanilla bean ice cream note. I would go so far as to say vanilla cream, which is like my ultimate vanilla in a whiskey. Glass 4, this is more of like an artificial vanilla icing on those kind of like store-bought cookies that you get in the plastic containers. But the fruit notes in here, it's like this weird sour but candied pineapple and plum thing that I cannot figure out. And it's going to stay in last place. I think it's a good whiskey. I don't know what that is. I will try to guess at the end of this, but I've learned my lesson to not think in those terms throughout the flight as it goes, because I'm always wrong. I'll guess at the end, but that is a weird whiskey. I don't know what that would even be in this flight. So strange. The fruit notes are tripping me out a little bit. So let's go on to let's go on to glass 5. Here's what's in glass 5. This is also a little, like, I think just the first 3 were stunners on the nose, because this one also feels just okay. It's kind of sharper. There's not nearly the richness. There's like 60% less richness than glasses 1, and I think 3 is in second place right now. Ooh, the palate is way better than the nose on that. And then, you know, just a reminder in this flight, we have a 17-year product from from Heaven Hill 17. We have Russell's 15, which is kind of the thing that we're really testing right now. And then the Luxro and the Altschuler are 12 years old. So just keep that in mind. Well, the Lux, actually, I don't know when this was bottled. So it's an 07 and an 06 barrel. This could be as old as 15 years old, actually, depending on when this was bottled. But the Altschuler would definitely be at a disadvantage as far as, like, just age statement goes. The Knob Creek is 15, and the Camp Nelson... Do you guys know what the age of Camp Nelson F is, by the way? I'm actually not sure. This is very citrusy, Glass 5. Like, very, very, very citrusy. And that's why on the nose it's not comparing as well to these really, like, hefty dark fruit bombs of whiskeys that we've got leading up to it. But the palate is pretty phenomenal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5 and 4 side by side just very quickly right now, and see which one would be in last place, which one would be in fourth place in the 5 that we've done so far. Jesse says, I think CNF is 14 years. Okay. Okay. Let's do this now. So this is Glass 4, which I said had that weird pineapple plum thing. Okay, Glass 5. The nose is no competition. Glass 4 wins on the nose. It just has depth to it, you know? And compared to the others, it lacked depth, but compared to 5, it has depth. But let's go to the palate, because we drink whiskey. That's 4. 4 is getting better. It's getting richer. Solid. It's just solid development. Let's go to 5. Man, it's so citrusy and spicy. Man, that palate. The palate's good. Honestly feels a little bit younger, Glass 5. Like, just the way that it comes off. I'm going to stick with 4, 5. I'm going to stick with where it is. So, last one, Glass 6. As long as we put Glass 6 in the correct place in this blind, we're going to be done. So that's like record time for a 6-pour blind. I actually think that for me, doing blinds here, this is interesting actually, now that I think about it. I think that doing blinds in this way, where I'm not trying to guess stats, where I'm just trying to rank them on my, you know, on my preferences, what I think is a better whiskey. This is much easier than guessing age and guessing proof and dominant grain and stated distillation and bottle and everything else, because on those things, you're spinning all the gears in your head trying to make sure your guesses line up with each other and everything else. But this is just finding what you think is the best whiskey. And what's funny is that this is the same skill set as picking barrels. And this is something that I'm trying to improve on and trying to get faster at. People give me a lot of shit for taking too long to pick barrels. Rightfully so. Some of the barrel picks have been really long, and some of them now have been really short. We've picked barrels in 30 minutes. Or we've known, let's say, within an hour what the barrel's going to be, and then we just kind of, at that point, go and just taste other things. Excuse me. This is good practice, though, for identifying things, quick notes, figuring out how to compare two, slide them into different positions, you know, and then kind of go on from there. All right, let's go on to Glass 6. Let me show you what's in Glass 6. Remember, please, no spoilers. All right, here we go. Glass 6, very soft on the nose. Delicate, soft, delicate, perfumed blackberry grape notes. Ooh. Ooh. but very broad and sweet. This is going to be tough to put this glass 6 into the lineup and find where this fits in. It is perhaps the most delicate, I think, let me think about this. Of the other profiles, I would say this is the most delicate on the palate for sure. Even on the nose, maybe. There's subtlety here. It is, man. It's a confusing whiskey on the nose. It's leathery, but it's not, it's like this reserved background supporting leather. It's not in your face showing its age. Very, like sticky, sweet cinnamon roll kind of notes. There's a little sharpness actually on the nose. For as delicate as it is, that's kind of weird. It's delicious, but it feels like I'm almost in a different proof range than these other bottles. All right. I already know it's going to be over glass 5. So like, let's try to flex it in and find where it's going to be between glasses 4 and 2. It's not going to break into the top 3. I don't think. But I would say that it's, probably going to be 4th or 5th place. BT, what's up, man? Great seeing you too. Great to hang. Thank you for this. Let's see. Amy's got you in on the super chat. Yeah, man. A lot of fun. Pours was great this year. All right, let's man, it's so reserved though. Let's go to glass 4. This is a tough. The noses are close in some ways. Again, glass 4 is the one that was kind of that pineapple plum thing I talked about with the vanilla, the artificial vanilla icing on the store-bought cookies. And 6. Man, this is so tough. It's crazy because 4, as disparate as 4 is with these different notes, it's like dark fruit, light fruit, sour, vanilla. It's like all over the place. And it's not brought together, really. I don't like 4 reminds me of a whiskey that you blended. Like you blended a whiskey and it didn't quite come out the way you wanted it to, if that makes sense. It's like the experience you get like when we went to Dark Arts and we were doing those double barrel blends. We ended up picking just a single barrel, but Macaulay brings out all these double barrel blends for you to try, and some would work together harmoniously. That was a rare occurrence. It's really hard to do that. And then some of them, they would cancel each other out, and you would just get these wacky, again, like disparate notes from very high tone to very dark. That's what 4 feels like to me. All right? And then back to 6 is more steady. It's a little bit more like plodding almost on the nose. It's maybe a stupid descriptor, but all right. So that's the palette of 4. Excuse me, the palette of 6. Now let's go palette on 4. I also recognize I'm being very picky about extremely good whiskeys here. High price, rare. I understand that, so please don't take my criticism the wrong way. It's within a narrow range right now. It's like, do you want a whiskey that you sit with and think about? Or do you want a whiskey that's going to give it to you on a silver platter and just hand it over? I gotta go with my gut, though. I do not think glass 6 beats glass 4. Glass 6 is just too much. In this blind, it's too much of a thinker for me. 4 just delivers it, So this is the order. I'm going to make sure. I'm going to do one final comparison between glass 1 and glass 3 at the top. Yeah, you can't lose with these. So this is, let's do glass 3, which is in second place currently. I said this was a little more one-dimensional. I agree with that. Yeah, I think that is one-dimensional. And glass 1. Man, glass 1 is a stunner. Yeah. Glass 1 is the easy winner. All right. Let me make my guesses now. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to put them all out there at once so I can't change it along the way. From last to first, I think Altschuler, Camp Nelson F, Lux, Knob, Russell's, Heaven Hill. Let's see. So in in last place, there it is. Altschuler 12. This was citrusy. I said it felt a little bit younger. And that makes sense. MGP, high rye, that kind of thing going on. It was at a disadvantage. Very, very good on the palate. The nose is what lacked in this flight. In fifth place, this is the one that's a thinker. You know, it's the thinker. It's got great oaky depth and this supporting leather, but everything in this whiskey feels supporting. Nothing feels like it's coming out at me. So in a blind like this, it just doesn't do well because it's too nuanced. Camp Nelson F, maybe? Yeah, there it is. That makes sense. Glass 4. This is the one that was disparate. Pineapple, plum, sour, and candied on both fronts. Artificial vanilla icing. Kind of all over the place. I would say Lux 12. Lux 12. And you know what's interesting is I just went on that tirade about how this feels like, you know, disparate in the sense that you blended things together that didn't work. These are that's hilarious. These are double-barreled blends. So what that means is not that it's double oak. It's a blend of 2 barrels. And that, yeah. So there you go. So I think third place got to be the Knob Creek pick, I would imagine. Yeah. Solid. This shows me that Knob Creek 15-year store picks are the shit. When these were out, they were so good. And I wish they would come back. This is so classic. It just didn't have the depth that the top 2, which are going to be Russell's and Heaven Hill 17. It didn't have that like antique leather, antique oak, slightly dusty thing that they had going on. And I knew that going into this. I'm glad those 2 ended up in the top. So I think second place is probably the Russell's 15, which is what I guessed, you know, because it felt a little more one-dimensional. There it is. So it's so good. I did call out on the first nosing down the line that I think it's a little closed off. That's the same thing that I said in my review of this product. It's what holds it back from being like true showstopper, like all-time whiskeys. If it didn't have that little bit of closed off thing on the nose, this could be incredible. But it is kind of one-dimensional in some ways, in a good way. But it doesn't quite have the complexity that clearly the Heaven Hill 17, which is the winner. This whiskey is all-time whiskey for me. Fantastic. Wow. So, the final guesses were spot on, which is good. I feel good about that, but I feel better that, like, I got to be honest with you guys. I did not know how Russell's 15 and Heaven Hill 17 would do against each other. I really did not know, because I felt like those could probably flip-flop on any given day. I don't think they could. I think Heaven Hill 17 has a level of complexity that just shows why it's such a special whiskey. But this also shows me that Russell's 15 is on a different level than these bottom 4. Man, so that's a fun blind. I'm going to actually, well, I'm going to pour these samples when I get home from Backbone for this flight for the winter. So it's going to be a fun blind for whoever wins these samples, I think. Okay. Let me grab a few more super chats here, and then the last thing I have to do before we do the giveaway and we sign off, I have these 3 rapid fires tonight. The Silverback, it's going to be tough coming off this blind. I'm going to try not to be overly critical because I know what I just drank in this one. We have 3 rapid fire pours to do before we wrap this up. Otherwise, I think we've covered all of our bases, which is incredible. Heaven Hill 17 is seriously one of the best. It really is. All right, Michael says, I've had Russell's 13 and 15. Do you think Russell's 18 would be better? Personally, I think the 15 is as oaked as it needs to get. So, Michael, this is a tough thing to speculate on because I think what's clear to me about Russell's 13 and Russell's 15 is that, and here, let me say this. Russell's 13, I'm going to try to say a full sentence now. We've been given confirmation that Russell's 13, at least the first 3 batches, had a lot of older whiskey in the blend, like 19 and 20-year barrels in significant quantities were added in some of those blends. And then when you look at the color of Russell's 13, it doesn't look freakishly dark. It's like a reasonable old bourbon color. Then you look at the color of Russell's 15, and it's kind of freakishly dark. But you think about the fact that Russell's 15 supposedly is only a blend of 15 and 16-year-old product. So why is that so much darker than a product that's 13, 19, and 20, thereabouts? Well, to me, it's like the 15 barrels, the rumor was that they were mostly short barrels. I can't talk. I'm not even that intoxicated, and I'm just getting ahead of myself. I do apologize. They're mostly short barrels is what the rumor is of Russell's 15. So if you have like 15 and 16-year-old short barrels that might have 50 to, I don't know, let's say 100 bottles per barrel, somewhere in that range, those are going to be cooked down. They might come from higher parts of the rickhouse, who knows, which would mean even more oak extraction. And so you're going to get that dark color. So what I would caution anybody, the reason I'm saying all this is what I would caution everybody about doing is assuming that the color difference and the flavor difference between 13 and 15 is a natural 2-year difference. I don't think that's the case. To me, what the colors and the profiles show is that the 13-year is probably pulled from lower parts of the rickhouse with higher yield barrels, and the 15 is probably pulled generally from lower yield barrels and probably mid to high parts of the rickhouse to get that color, that oak extraction, which accounts for the evaporative loss. Like, so then you scale up to Russell's 18, right? If they chose barrels like they did for Russell's 13, which had a lot of 19 and 20 in it, you could get a Russell's 18 that's kind of similar. Or if they chose freakish barrels like they did for the 15 and they used those 3 years later, then you could get an even more freakish 18 like the 15. I hope that makes sense. Like, I'm trying to put this together in my head too, but to speculate on what a Russell's 18 would be like is almost isn't even helpful because you don't know where they're going to pick the barrels from, what the yields are going to be. And so the profile obviously ranges somewhere between Russell's 13, 15, and even older stuff. But like the thing that I've learned about going out and doing barrel picks, I've learned so much from doing it. But another one of those things is that barrel selection is one of the most important things you can do. Like, obviously for a single barrel, that's true. But for a blend, imagine taking a blend of all Zach cooperage barrels, which is a pretty, I would say like a pretty neutral barrel that you can put whiskey in. Like if you have all Zach cooperage barrels in your blend, and then the next year you do the same blend, same age, similar proof points, similar parts of the rickhouse, and you pull all Kelvin barrels, you are going to have two completely different whiskeys with two completely different colors. Not to mention even just the quality of the individual barrels within those lots. So you do have quite a range when it comes to barrel selection. There you go, Travis. You're striking the beat before it's conducted. That's I do get ahead of myself sometimes when I talk, and it's like I have to just stop talking and catch up to my mouth. Or have my mouth catch up to my brain. Sladvan, I hate you so much. Yeah, Russell's 15, so grainy. God, smell all that grain. Moral of the story, though, is Russell's 15 is amazing. Sam, I think in some ways you're right. It's a different oak. It's a different oak, but yes. Okay. Let's grab a few more of these Venmo Super Chats before this rapid fire portion. All right. The freaking most badass person in the stream herself, who is helping me track Super Chats in with $20, 4 entries, says, much love to you and Sarah. Cheers. Thank you, Amy. Thanks for all that you do. Leo is in for 3. Leo Ruth says, glad I passed on the Babe Ruth. Yeah, that's a good choice. I should spell that correctly. Daniel P is in for 5. Says, cheers, dude. Glad to be able to catch a live stream. Or a stream live. I'm glad you're here too, man. All right, Art Sanchez. And also with the 5 entry super chat, $25. Thank you, Art and Daniel, man. Appreciate it. Art says cheers with a little coffee mug. Let's do Avery next. Avery Piper with 1 entry says, thanks for the live stream. I'm halfway through. Can't wait to see your Maker's Cellar H review. Had tacos tonight, too. That's a Thursday night tradition at this point. Cheers, man. All right, Jesse is in for 2. Says, barrel pick gas money. Thank you, man. Jared Busher in for 4. Says, cheers, Jay Boogie. Oh, wow. Some more of these pop. Okay, quite a few more of these pop. Actually, yeah, 5. Okay, let's get the rest of these right now, guys. Daniel Nichols in for more says, with 4 entries, says you need to get yourself a Russell's or Turkey's pick. Russell's or Turkey pick. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe next year. I don't know. I've been talking. A conversation happened, and there are no guarantees. But maybe, and it would be very cool if that happened. And that's all I'm going to say. Morgan O'Neill, in for 10, $50 super chat. Thank you, Morgan. Here's to you quitting your day job. Eventually, maybe? Maybe not. The day job is, I work for the Symphony, a 501c3, and I love playing with the Symphony. So that's number 1. But, and it keeps me feeling like a musician, you know? But it's a 501c3, it's a nonprofit, so I get the public service loan forgiveness through that, and I have an astounding number, what's the word I want to say, balance on my student loans. Astounding. So if that could go away in 8 years, because I've already done 2, that would be a great thing. No matter how you feel about that, if you're eligible to take advantage of it, it would be silly not to take advantage of it. Lawrence Chang, in for 2, says, earlier when you were discussing how you talk about whiskey, providing operational definitions of subjective and objective, that was a good reminder of how much I enjoy you and your scientific-like approach. Cheers, and as always, hashtag Team Vanilla. Thank you, Lawrence Chang. Thanks, man. Yeah, you know, sometimes go full nerd, sometimes I don't go full nerd, but that was a bit of a nerdy moment, and I appreciate you saying that. All right, we have, I think, 3 more no. Okay, 5 more from here now. Walker is in for 20. Thank you, Walker. Appreciate that. And, well, Walker, I know, you know, I've been trying some bottles from Walker recently, and we got one of those tonight. And I'm excited for the silverback and to see what this is all about. So, 20 entries from Walker. Cheers to that, man, with a little Heaven Hill 17. Yeah, Toshi says, use that, get those loans erased. Yeah, man. Matt, I play in the Columbus Symphony in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, let's keep going. Scott Millward, last couple super chats that I have, and then if any more come in, we'll catch them right before we do the giveaway itself. Scott is in for 4, says laser codes, gas and food money, and prize tickets. Oh, this is CA Scotty. Sorry I didn't put that together. Thanks, Scott. All right, Jeffrey Stokowski is in for 4 as well. Says sample giveaway. John Eady with 15 entries, man. We're almost to the end, guys. I promise. Thank you. I know we're losing people. It's okay. It's a necessary part of the stream because I freaking put off doing this till the end. John, man, 15 entries, $75, says double cheers. Thank you. Bobby Holton. I'm going to say cheers with Little Russell's 15 so I can do the comparison. No, Russell's 15 is so good. Oh, my gosh. Bobby Holton, in for 1, says spoiler. And then finally, David P., in for 2, says hit me. And Paul Nesbitt, rounding us out with 2 more, says loving the stream. Thanks, Paul. Let me just confirm I've not missed any PayPal. Sometimes we get 1 or 2 of those. Oh, maybe we have a PayPal. I think we do. I think we have 2 of them. Jared Cox, in for 2, says Numinium Super Chat. Thank you, Jared. And Jared Lee, in with a $15 Super Chat, 3 entries. Thank you, guys. All right, and Matt, in with 1. Used to take my high school band to band camp in Mansfield. That is like, what is that, like 40 minutes, I think, from me? Paul says, had the Heaven Hill 17 at OPA last week. That's a bar for you guys that wouldn't know this. It's a bar in Columbus. It's north of Columbus. I now have to get a bottle to side by side. I'll bring it tomorrow, man. I'll bring the Heaven Hill 17 tomorrow. I'll bring the, look, well, I know, Paul, you gotta get back, so maybe I shouldn't. I could bring the Russells. I could bring the Russells in the Heaven Hill 17. Gun to head, says Joe. Bourbon of the year so far, Russells or VVS or something else? It's so tough. It's probably VVS, Old Fitz 13. Probably. I'm just kind of looking around. Yeah, I think those are probably in the top 3. You know what I'm going to put, like what I would probably put in the top 5? The Limestone Farms private stock, guys, I really think is a fantastic product. It doesn't have the oak profile of the others, so I don't know how it would blind against them. But I just think that private stock is so good. So if that's not in my top 5, that's definitely in my top 10 of the year that I've tried. I'd probably put the Old Fitz first. I'm just trying to think of what else I've tried this year. Where would the Hardin's Creek 186 have stacked? Is that that's probably the first release? Ahead or behind the Knob Creek 15? It would have been probably behind. The Knob Creek would probably beat that out. Oh yeah, okay. So like if you're going to count like the Weller Millennium is going to be I mean, it's in the top 3. I don't know. If you don't side by side it directly next to the others, I don't know. OFC would not be top 3. It'd probably be top 10. The OFC 96, but I don't know if the 96 was this year or a previous release. Double Eagle would not be in the conversation. Clay, see my comment above. Limestone Farms. I asked about it yesterday. Saw on Insta that they're shipping direct to consumer now. Yeah, and I don't know if the direct to consumer has the updated pricing or not, because they were going to drop the pricing on the private stock. I don't know. And I don't know how much shipping is. I don't know who they're using for direct to consumer. But it's good. The private stock is so good. Paul Graham, dude, good to see your name pop up. $50 super chat. Cheers to you, Paul. Thanks, man. Good to see your name. Brian Bikey, you mother. We do not need to add CYPB to any mix. Okay. Have I missed anybody? I don't think so. I think we're good. And just a quick reminder here at the end of the video or stream. Well, first, please hit that like button if you haven't already. And 2, we do have YouTube memberships now open. Looks like we have quite a number of members, which is awesome as of today. Someone gifted a bunch of memberships earlier, which is super cool. $2.99 a month, 1 extra piece of content per month. You get the emojis, you get all that. And for every member that we get from now until like September 14th or something, YouTube gives a pretty nice bonus, $10 per person. So it just really helps the channel. If you want to check that out, you can just click the join button on the channel page for Drums and Drams. And you get these emojis that Travis just posted. Amy says, check PayPal. Someone was asking earlier. I think I got them, Amy. Jared, actually. The 2 Jareds on PayPal. It was Numinium and then Jared Lee. John, thanks, man. Thanks for gifting those. And thanks, Joe, for jumping in. Morgan says private stock is $190 plus 20 shipping. So that's good, because it used to be, I think, $225 just flat out, $200 or $225. So they did lower it down. That's great. That's great. I think that whiskey is really special. I know it's expensive, and if you're hesitant, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to pressure you to buy that whiskey, but I do think it's really, really good stuff. The only thing I wish they wouldn't do with it is I wish they wouldn't proof it down. They proof it down just a little bit, like, 5 to 8 proof points or something. I don't know why they don't just leave it at cask strength, because I don't think it's at cask strength when it comes out around 113-ish in the bottle. All right. What next? A couple of rapid fires, then the giveaway, then we're done. Jeez. All right, first up, let's get a new glass. This is Roaming Man. Yeah. This is from Travis. Roaming Man Small Batch Tennessee Pot Distilled Whiskey. Cask Strength Straight Rye. All right, so mash bill, 51 rye, so barely legal rye. 45% corn and 4% barley. So 51, 45, 4. This is distilled by Sugarlands Distilling Co. in Gatlinburg. It is 4 years, 8 months. The blend is 4 years, 8 months to 5 years, 10 months. In toasted and charred American white oak made with staves, air dried for 12 to 24 months. The barrels in the batch, there are 53-gallon barrels and 25-gallon barrels in here. And entry proof low, 107. And cask strength is 109. So there's a lot of great transparency on this bottle, which I really appreciate. All right. The first nose that I just had on this was a little bit shocking, a little jarring. I know what I just had. I understand that, but it's not related to that. It's been enough time. It has that pot distilled, kind of crafty character to it, wild yeast kind of character. There's the pot distillation kind of farmy quality to this. There's what I get on here that's actually distinct from other kind of craft whiskeys is a vegetal note. It reminds me of broccoli a little bit, and I actually may have called this out on a Frey Ranch rye one time. So I get like the farmy crafty thing, broccoli, a little bit of a soil earthiness. But interestingly, it is a rye, and interestingly, it's not as crafty as, like, the first punch is crafty, and then it kind of dies off on the nose a little bit. So I'm curious now about the palate. Like, it's not turning me off entirely. Oh, yeah, it's crafty. Okay. Little barbecue on the palate. Probably from those small barrels. Ooh. It's not my thing. But being a rye and being a craft whiskey, things could go a lot worse with this style of whiskey. And I think this is, if you're into crafty whiskeys and that profile, pot distillation, then this would be one to check out. I do think. But if you know that you don't like that stuff, avoid this. This is going to be a divisive whiskey for you. It's not something I'm going to reach for. The vegetal note is really what throws me off. It's very chocolatey now on the nose after the first sip. But that's a pass for me, but it could be a buy for somebody else. Let's do the Old Dominick cask strength next. Similar mash bill. 52 corn, not 51. 44 rye, 4 malted barley. It's a 6-year, 124 proof. I believe it's their own distillate. Oh, that's nice. All right. Travis says the integration of the 53-gallon barrels gotten better each time. And I could see that, man. Like, it's clear to me that the 25-gallon barrels are being used there. But if they went all 53 with that, I'd be interested to see what that effect would be. This is Old Dominick, Alex Castle distilled. Wow, very, very citrusy. And this makes sense. 44% rye in the mash bill. Wow, it's bright. It's super bright toned, very floral, kind of crawls up your nose a little bit. You can sense the rye, you can sense the youth, but at no point am I put off by it, which is kind of nice. So, I'm going to go a different route on this whiskey. Sometimes when I taste very sugary sweet, mid-palate into the finish. Sometimes when I taste young whiskeys like this from a newer distillery, it's less to me about what this whiskey is now and more about what it can be in 4 to 8 years. And I think there are some whiskeys that have that demonstrate early on great aging potential. That can come in a lot of different forms. But in this case, I feel like it. I don't want to go too down a rabbit hole because I get myself in trouble because you can just start speculating about things. I don't know what the barrels are that they're using for this. As long as the barrels do what the barrels should do, and they're not kind of crappy barrels, from a just okay cooperage. If these are decent barrels, and you take this 4 to 6 years down the line with this amount of rye spice and backbone to the whiskey that can stand up to barrel influence, because the whiskey itself is big, it's got presence, very, very spicy, then this is going to take in that barrel influence very well over that period of time. It's going to round out kind of the rough edges, that sharp rye spice, and it's going to turn into something special. And I'm curious to know what that would be. If the barrels are kind of neutral and not very good over time, this is going to stay sharp, and it's not going to age in the way that you would want it to. But I think at this point, this is one of those whiskeys. It's like, just flag it, keep an eye on it, see what it's like in a couple of years. But for right now, it's good. I don't know the price point. I think maybe it's on the sample bottle, actually. Maybe? No. Don't know the price point. Travis probably knows it in the chat. A lot of potential. A little grassy, actually. I didn't pick that up the first time. All right. This is like a maybe for me right now, but give it a few more years and see what happens. And finally, this is the weird one. Last but not least, 75 for the cast strength, says Jeremy. Okay. This is the Silverback. This is 3-year-old bourbon at 105 proof. So to me on paper, I'm like, I don't know. It is stout barrel finished. I've never tried this. I just opened this before the stream. Batch 1. Yeah, 3 years, 105 proof, stout finished. It's a half bottle. Let's see. 3 lives for 1 barrel, from bourbon to coffee stout, then to bourbon again. This bottle holds a unique new Silverback spirit. Originally, it aged a bourbon, then a coffee stout for a local brewer, and then finally a 2-year aged bourbon rested in this barrel for 1 year. This exciting fusion of vanilla, oak, and spice from bourbon with the added depth of coffee and cocoa from the stout has led to our Alpha Series stout barrel finished bourbon. And it's from Silverback Distillery, and it says Afton, Virginia, and East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Oh, it smells good. It just smells like pure chocolate, but I'm okay with that. Listen, this is 3-year bourbon. Now, if I'm thinking like TTB perspective on this, can you call this 3-year bourbon? Okay, aged 3 years. I guess you can say that. It's straight, so it's 2 years old at least. It can be called straight. You can give the total age statement on the label, 3 years. They do disclose on the back 2 and 1. So this feels fine to me, right? Lots of floaters. Wow. Okay, lots of stuff floating around in here. I mean, this smells good. It smells really good. God. I mean, this smells like Hershey's chocolate. Wow. Look, the finish has completely blown the whiskey out of the water on the nose. But, like, it smells good. So I'm going to judge it on what it is, and it very clearly lets you know the story of the barrels, that it is, you know, finished and all that kind of stuff. So no complaints. Oh. Totally. I'm in it. I don't know much about the base bourbon because I can't really taste it. There's a little flash of it in the mid palate that I'm like, maybe that's the base bourbon. And then it just goes back to chocolate stout coffee land. If you want something like, we have a Driftless Glen rye pick and bourbon pick coming out in about a month. The bourbon tastes like coffee cake and imperial stout, but it still tastes like a bourbon. This tastes like if you took the Driftless bourbon that we're doing and you removed the bourbon and you left all the finish to it, which it's not finished, but if you left the flavor profile of the coffee cake, of the stout, you would get this. I don't know the price on this bottle. Let's see if I can find it real quick. $40 for a 375, so $80 for a full bottle. It is unique. Why not? You know, why not? 40. If you're only in 40 and you buy this is a total dessert pour. Yeah, I'm with it. Like, I don't really sense, if I get any youth on this, it's like 15% in the actual experience. Otherwise, it's just a delicious, overly finished whiskey with a profile that's not in danger of getting too tannic. Like, you get a wine finish, you overdo it, it's dry, it's tannic on the finish, it's not very good. With this, it's like the more time in the barrel, the better, because it's just blowing the base whiskey out of the water and making it delicious. So I would recommend that if you like stouts and coffee and that kind of thing. Roaming Man is a pass, and the Old Dominic is like a maybe. So we have like 3 different sort of ratings for these 3 rapid fire reviews. So that's going to do it. Let's do the giveaway now. We have 4 winners. We have one last person squeaking in here, I think, which is Maury, and I'm going to take the banner down. By the way, guys, I forget to say this at the beginning of every live stream. Some people watch these streams and they're 30 minutes behind, and then they super chat, not realizing they're not live. And then I get them after the stream, and it's like, the stream's done. So I need to remember to say that. You know, if you're not live, just be aware that you might super chat after the stream is done. Okay. Oh, wow. A couple last-minute stragglers. Thanks, guys. This is going to be it. Where is the spreadsheet? Jeez. Dang, Amy, you got it so fast. Brandon says, it only takes one. Cheers, Cam. Cheers, everybody joining late and enjoying some Knob Creek 12. That's a great bottle. Still an underrated bottle. And Andrew P. with 2. Thanks, Andrew. And thank you, Brandon. Oh, we have another Venmo super chat. Let's see, where's it at? All right, so we've got Maury. In for 4. Says, put me in for 4. I gotcha. And John with more, man. John is... Thank you, dude. Jeez, with 8 more entries and gifting memberships and everything else just to pad the odds, he says. Thanks, man. Jeez, John, thanks. Wow. All right, so that's going to do it. We're going to have to check in on these now. You guys know you have to look at the screen, make sure I didn't make any mistakes. So if I go from Nick down to Bobby, and then wow, we're going to have to do this in 3 parts. I mean, we have to do it in 3 parts. We've never done this before. This is a record number of super chats. Sean says, Cam, giveaway aside, I want to buy a 5-sample flight of what I see behind you. Of what I can see behind you. Name your price. It depends, man. Like, it depends. What are you talking about? Because there's some stuff that's almost empty that I just can't, and there's some special bottles that I can't part with. I'm usually not stingy, but there's a few things recently that I've had to be stingy about. Yeah, Joe, we can go somewhere nice tomorrow. I actually haven't thought about dinner. I need to figure that out, like, once I get off this stream tonight. I'm going to schedule out the drop posts for tomorrow. And I got to figure out dinner for tomorrow, too. Oh, scotches? Dude, just email me. Tell me what scotches you want. That's no problem. Scott, I love Waffle House, though. I would actually just eat Waffle House. No qualms. All right, so here we go, guys. Here is, let's see, from Nick down to Bobby. We're going to do this in 3 parts. Your name, we'll give you like a minute each. Your name is on the left. The number of entries is on the right. Your name auto-populates over here. If you entered more than once, I don't know if anybody did in this part of the spreadsheet, but if you entered more than once, your name is going to appear twice. I didn't put them together. So if Jay submitted one here, and if he also submitted one, down here, let's say, his name would appear twice. So your name and then your number of entries. This number, the number of entries, is your dollar amount divided by 5, because it's $5 per entry. And then we're going to spin the randomizer 7 times as usual. We'll go in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 1, 2, 3, 4 of the prizes in the description of the video. That will be the order. So if you see that I made a mistake, tell me in the chat right now, please. That's the point of me showing you this screen. Yeah, dude, Waffle House is the best. John says Waffle House is a requirement on the short barrel pick. ATL. Yeah. It does just hit different, Casket Salesman. All right, let's, sounds like no issues. Bobby. Now we're going to scroll down. So we got Bobby. So we're going to go from Sladvan down to Nick Blevins and BT. I know BT submitted 2, so I know we're good on BT down here. So from BT to Sladvan here. Check your entries, please. Same process. Your name, number of entries, which is your dollar amount divided by 5. Parker, just ask Justin to take you to Rubbin' Butts Barbecue. I have to ask, is that a real establishment? Or is that just something that you are saying that Justin should do? Let's see. Cheese, eggs, bacon covered hash browns, raisin toast is where it's at. I do the Sarah gets the, what is it, the All-Star breakfast? Is that what it's called? Sounded like somebody was honking their horn outside. What do I get? I get the sandwich on the Texas toast, which is just, white bread, basically. I get the Texas melt is what it's called, the Texas melt. And I get 2 of them. I get the meal, the Texas melt meal, with chunked covered and, what's the other one? What's onions? Waffle House hash brown options. Chunked covered and smothered. Yeah. Yes, chunked, covered, and smothered is what I get, my hash browns. And then with that, and then I get an extra Texas melt sandwich just by itself, also with ham. Chunked, covered, and smothered. What's scattered? I've never done scattered. There's my sneeze. It only took an hour. Man, Waffle House. I'm freaking hungry now. All right, last but not least, from BT to the bottom of the list. Can we even get there? Oh my gosh, we can't even get. I know I got John in for 8 more. Maury's in for 4. So, from BT down to Andrew P. Please check your entries, guys. Wow, this is an insane number of super chats tonight. I sincerely appreciate it. God, I need some freaking Waffle House right now. Oh, my Lord. That sounds so good. Cam, you can put some 93 in your car tomorrow. So, yeah, I think we're good here, guys. So, last plug, like button, please. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Check out the new channel memberships. Become a laser code today for $2.99 a month. 1 extra bonus piece of content per month. And exclusive, emojis and things and badges in the live chat. And then check out the Patreon, $5, $10, $25, or $50 a month. The top 2 tiers are sold out, so $5 or $10 per month. We're dropping a new barrel tomorrow, and we're dropping about once a month from here till the end of the year with maybe one cool pop-up. Still working on some things, but we'll see what happens. But definitively, Green River, Hard Truth, Driftless Glen, all coming up. All insane barrels from those places. So, all right. So back to this. Scroll up from Nick down to Dear Lord. 313 entries. That is the most ever by a long shot. Top 4 win. No duplicate winners. That's a paste in there. Scrolling all the way to the top. Nick down to John. You can see again. 7 spins. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last but not least, 7. John is the top winner for the blind flight from tonight. Greg. What does Greg win? I have to look on my phone what's in the description of the video because I can't remember. Greg wins the Going Nuts pick that's dropping tomorrow. And then everybody, 2, 3, 4, Will Molnar and Toshi, all win the same samples of Maker Cellar 24, Russell's 15, Raconteur Batch 2. So Greg is going to get the Going Nuts pick. Will is going to get the OSO Revival blend from the Whiskey Blendery, which is a crazy bottle. It's right here. And Toshi is going to get the Poor Nerds EverNorth Rye, which is a root beer bomb. This was one that we really wished we could have picked. It went a little flat for us on the palate compared to the ones that we did pick. But this, plus Matt Porter's pick, plus Sarah and I's, these were all of our favorite EverNorth Ryes from that lot of barrels. So congrats to you guys. Let me write these down. Actually, I'm just going to take a picture. Congrats to you guys, and thank you all so freaking much for the super chats, the support, the membership of the channel, the Patreon subscription, everything. Thank you. This was a really fun night of a great blind, rapid fire, first thoughts, just a whole bunch of stuff going on. Very fun. And now it's midnight. It's time for bed. I got to be up, let me think. Probably up in about, I could probably do like 7 hours. 7 hours of sleep. Get up. Just throw some things in a bag. Get out the door. If I'm on the road I'm going to Indy, right? This shows you how much planning actually goes on. Indy's like 2.5. Yeah, 2:45. If I'm out the door by 9:30, we're good. So, we're going to pick some great barrels of Backbone tomorrow. We're going to have a great time. Thanks. Jump in the Patreon if you want a chance at those barrels. These ones aren't going to drop till like December, though. So, actually, if you're only here for the Backbones, you might want to hold off on joining the Patreon. Cheers, guys. All right. Winners. Sorry, I should have said this. I know most of the winners. I think actually maybe I have everybody's contact, but please still, if you would, email me, drumsanddrams@gmail.com. Just remind me with your address. Jeremy, the pick is at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Cheers, guys. Heaven Hill 17 to round the night out. See you soon.